Happy Victory Monday, everybody. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Whether you're listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, online, sportstalk1051.com. You've got your Google, Alexa devices. You've got the YouTube video stream up and rolling. Multiple ways for you to be joining in on the, and of course, if you want to join in on the conversation, that's Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, up and ready. Hit me up with some Victory Monday texts, 715-830-1912. But a very, very happy Monday morning to all of you. So, where do we begin? Where do we begin on this Monday? Packers taking down the Chicago Bears last night, 28-21. 28-21 victory by the Packers yesterday. Man, I wanted that game, and I'm still feeling, dude, that's jacked up. The rivalry's back. Let's begin there. The rivalry is absolutely back. And, man, it felt good to get that W last night. Holy moly, did it feel good to get that W last night. So, game balls, who you giving them to? Who you handing out some game balls to? Your thoughts, your analysis from the outcome last night. I'm curious to hear from all of you. Let me know. Text it on over, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line this morning. But back in first place in the division, 9-3-1. Right now, the 2 seed in the playoffs, if the playoffs were going to begin today. So, long ways to go yet. Green Bay cannot afford to be complacent. You got a tough schedule coming up here with Denver, obviously, who is 11-2. Then you've got the Bears again right after that. You know they're going to be extra motivated playing at home and getting sets, looking forward to that rematch probably. And then, of course, Baltimore, who's going to be a very desperate Baltimore team, and then wrapping it up against Minnesota, which you know is going to want nothing more than to play some spoiler. But just one of the final 4 going to be at Lambeau Field as well. It's that Baltimore game. So, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We're still celebrating a Victory Monday right after that big win last night against the Chicago Bears. So, I don't be shy on a Victory Monday, all right? We as fans can still celebrate a little Victory Monday and such. So, just how jacked up on a scale of 1 to 10 were you last night, man? I gotta admit, it's been a hot minute. It's been a while since I've been that pumped, that jacked from a Packers-Bears game. And from kickoff to the end, boy, I wanted that one. I wanted all of them, but I was like, oh, yeah, here we go. A little trash talking back and forth, all in fun. But I really wanted that one last night. So, man, it feels good on a Victory Monday. I know it's cold, and I know we're going to be getting loaded up with snow here, but Victory Monday, man, let's heat it up here. So we got that. Plenty of Packers chat throughout the morning as we recap last night's W. Well, we'll touch a little bit on, got to throw some hoops chat in here. Badger men's basketball team picking up a nice win over Marquette. But how about the women's team yesterday, too, taking down number 20 ranked Michigan State? Badger hoops, heck yeah. So hoops-wise, though, for the Bucks, they continue to fall, dropping their last 2 games against the 76ers on Friday, and then a game against the Pistons on Saturday. Just to kind of recap it, Giannis expected to be out for a couple weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. So, yeah, we'll see how the Bucks can kind of tread some water without Giannis. But got that on the docket. We'll throw a little college football chat here. What are your thoughts on the bracket? The 12. We know the playoff bracket. What are your thoughts on it? Give me your input on it. Indiana taking down Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. They're the overall number 1 seed. Notre Dame not getting in, so they're saying, screw you, and they will not be playing in any bowl game this year. Notre Dame, do you think good for them? They should have been in? Or do you think they're kind of being childish with the whole thing? So, but give me your thoughts on the 12th, the college football playoff. Also, it is a best and worst. What's the best and what's the worst from the weekend? Our VFW post 305 best and worst from the weekend. And it is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So give me your best. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right. What you got for me? As there's plenty to choose from. So what a day yesterday. Good. Just going back to football here too. Pittsburgh and that Baltimore game, that was kind of crazy finish there. Pittsburgh picking up a big win. The Saints upsetting Tampa Bay, and now you've got Tampa Bay and Carolina tied in the NFC South for that division. The Colts, hate to say it, but the Colts season looks like it's going to be kaput. Daniel Jones, torn Achilles. He's going to be out. Jacksonville is now the 3rd seed in the AFC. You had a Buffalo in that Bengals game. Oh, what a back-and-forth affair. I mean, if Cincinnati would have won that one, look out in the AFC North. And then you're wondering, Buffalo, are they going to miss the postseason? And then Kansas City losing last night to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are just on. They're hot right now. They're back into the postseason position. You talk about their defense. Man, they're playing some really, really good defense. So, but overall, and then we got Chargers taking on Philadelphia tonight in a big game. Philadelphia looking to bounce back here too. So luckily maybe for them, Dallas losing last Thursday to the Detroit Lions. But as your playoff standings look right now in the AFC, Denver's the 1 seed, New England's a 2 seed, Jacksonville's a 3 seed, Pittsburgh's the 4 seed because they're leading the AFC North, Buffalo's the 5 seed, the Chargers 6, Houston 7th. On the NFC side of things, Chicago goes from the 1 seed down to the 7 seed. Rams are back in at that top spot. Green Bay is the 2 seed. Philly is the 3 seed. Tampa Bay the 4 seed because they're still leading that division, but it's going to be tight. Seattle, 5th seed. San Francisco, 6th. And then Chicago, 7th. So that's where it all kind of stands tonight. If the Chargers were to win, it really wouldn't affect Philadelphia. They'd still be the 3rd seed, leading their division. Chargers would just move up to the 5 seed. If Philadelphia wins, then the Chargers would be out of the playoffs. Colts back into the playoff picture as the 7th seed. So got a little bit on the line. This game, obviously more important for the Chargers tonight. But then you're not to get too far ahead, but week 15, you got some more spicy matchups. How about Buffalo at New England? Chargers at Kansas City. That could be, I think every game now is must win for Kansas City at this point in time. But, Colts at Seattle kind of is a damper now. Green Bay at Denver, big time. Detroit at the Rams, huge. So got a couple good games coming up for week 15 here too. So, but let's pitter patter and let's get at her. Come on, Packers Nation. I got to hear from you this morning, all right? Hit me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Hit me up on the YouTube stream as well. But let's talk a little Victory Monday. Let's hand out some game balls from last night. Who gets a game ball from you, from that from the Packers squad? Who are you giving a game ball to? All right? Let me know. Text it on over or hit me up on the video stream. It's a Victory Monday here this morning, and let's jump right into it. We'll take our first break, and then to lead off, recapping the win from the Pack last night. 28-21. Packers back in first place. We'll be right back after these quick words. Depending on where you're at, if you're in the Eau Claire area, we're already under a winter storm watch coming up here for a couple days, so it's probably a good reminder when we get to maybe Wednesday morning to pay attention to our website, sportstalk1051.com, for the latest school closings and delays. The WEAU 13 News First Alert School Closings, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. So put that in the back of your mind if you got the kiddos and you're wondering if they're going to have school, or maybe there's going to be a little bit of a delay with the upcoming snow that we're forecasted to get. You might want to double check in case there is a little bit of a delay, or maybe they get the day off. So again, it's our WEAU 13 News First Alert School Closings, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. Clay, I hope you're having a victory coffee this morning. Oh, man, we had I believe their name was Pat. A couple of years ago, they emailed me and said every morning they listen with a cigar and a coffee. Pat, if that is you, Pat, if you're still a listener, I hope you're having a victory cigar here this morning. So, yeah, come on now. Victory Monday here. Let's open it up, shall we? I want to hear a jacked up Packers fan base this morning. C-Bomb says, good morning, El Capitano. Big victory. Pack back on top of the NFC North. All is right in the world. When will the officials start calling a holding against Micah? WT. You know the rest. Most people are arrested on charges for stuff like that. Oh, believe me, dude. I'm going to get to that here in a second. G-Man also chiming in earlier this morning saying, DK, way to go, Pack. Go, Pack, go. So, good to hear from G-Man. So, yeah. Let's just jump right into it, shall we, on this Victory Monday? Packers 28, Bears 21. Like I said a little earlier, this is probably I can't remember. Rivalry games, you're a little bit more into it and such, but this one, I don't know if it was just the talk and me getting sucked into all the media talk with the whole Ben Johnson stuff and this, that, and the other. But, man, I was into it. Man, I was so happy yesterday and even yet this morning to see – I'm sorry, I know we've got some, but I'm not calling out you specifically, but there was a lot on social media, the crying of many Bears fans and telling Micah Parsons that he needs to shut his mouth and all that. Maybe you should be looking in the mirror, or maybe you should be looking at your own head coach too and saying that. But cry me a river, as Justin Timberlake once said. But, man, I was into that. I wanted that game so much yesterday. I mean, I want every single game. But, man, I really wanted that game. And I'm glad this rivalry now just seems to be up a little bit more. Rivalries in sports are great. We need rivalries in sports. And when we talk about the longest rivalry in NFL history, Packers-Bears, to see these two at the position that they're currently in, it is good. This is good. Yes, I always loved it when it was comfortable victories and dropping 50 burgers or 40 burgers on Chicago. But this is good. Just to have this kind of an intense rivalry, and the game, the way that it went, it almost gave me a heart attack. I thought I was going to lose my voice, hooting and hollering too much in the man cave last night with Huts and that. But it's good. It's good to have this. It feels like this rivalry is, I know it's only one game, but the intensity that was clearly evident between these two, the icy handshake between LaFleur and Ben Johnson, give me some of that. I would be lying that, I think in a couple weeks here, I'm nervous, but that's because I want that too. As a football fan, I want this rivalry, like that heated, I hate to say this word, but it's kind of that way, hated rivalry between the two. So, boy, but I think, if you're a Packers fan too, you probably wanted a dominating victory. You probably wanted to win by, 3 scores, couple scores and such, but you take the W, and you take the W at home. with everything that's kind of on the line, with a huge, tough schedule coming up here too. You had to have that game, and you got it done. You got it done. I mean, the defense, the first half of that Packers defense, whew. You want to talk about just shutting everything down? I mean, what was the statistic when they were coming out of the half, like the fewest amount of yards that Ben Johnson offense has had in the first half ever since he started calling plays? And you got to tip your cap. Chicago, they adjusted nicely in the second half. They really did. And I hate to say that, but they did. So you got to tip your cap to them. But that first half, what that defense did after a little bit of a slow start from the Packers offense, moving the ball on their first drive, but then the interception. And then I know I'm probably not the only person thinking, I'm like, oh my God, okay, interception, Packers offense, screwing a chance to put up some points early. And then, you get the sack or the penalty, and it's like they're doing this again. They've done it how many times this year where they're stopping themselves on offense. But credit to that Packers defense for keeping Chicago out of the end zone, especially on an interception, keeping them out of the end zone. That defense was balling in the first half, and then Packers offense finally settling in a little bit. Big plays. Good to see Jaden Reed back. Christian Watson is wide receiver number 1. And how about Bo freaking Melton? Okay, I don't care if he's a corner. I don't care if he's a wide receiver. I don't care if he's a kick returner, punt returner, placeholder, clipboard holder. Doesn't matter. The guy deserves to be on this team in any role. Okay, he's kind of this is not the greatest comparison, but it's like, okay, Taysom Hill back in the day when he used to be a backup quarterback for Green Bay, and then he goes to the Saints, and he is like this multi-position type of player, and Packers fans were pissed that they couldn't find a role for him and such. Kind of like Bo Melton here. I mean, for crying out loud, he might be playing quarterback here for a couple snaps or something like that. I don't know. But Bo Melton, dude, fantastic job for that big play there. And Keyshawn Nixon, okay? Keyshawn Nixon, I was upset with you. Okay, I was upset. And it was like a Keyshawn Nixon game yesterday. Like I don't know if this is becoming a thing where it's like boneheaded stuff, stupid penalties, but then seals the game with the pick at the end. I mean, you got the adversity, going through it, staying with it. Hats off to you, man. You were frustrating me for 95% of that game. Okay? You were frustrating me. But thank you for the pick at the end to seal it. Even a pass breakup because it was fourth down. If you would have just tipped that thing away, tip of the cap, man. For as much as you frustrate me at times with whether it's allowing a pass or stupid penalties here or there, it's just got to give him some acknowledgement for the closing it out. So, and if you went to the game yesterday, I got to know, because watching the game, it sure sounded like the fans at Lambeau Field turned it up. I mean, you could hear it. And, oh, man, I wish I was there. Gosh, I wish I was at that game, because that would have been one of those games when I would have been really into it. Usually when I go to a game at Lambeau, I'm fairly, calm. Yeah, you cheer, you get loud on third down, but that one would have been like, okay, I'm ready to suit up and jump out on that field and play. That's kind of how I felt watching the game in the Mobile Man Cave, getting into coach's squat. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. Getting out of your chair and you're squatting down like a basketball coach on the sideline because you think you're coaching the game and such. But, man, kudos to Packers fans that were at that game. We could hear you from start to finish. So, if you were there, awesome. Awesome. I wish I was there. Golly, do I wish I was there, because that would have been, I think, an absolutely fun environment to be at. So, we can nitpick every aspect of this game. there was the second half, fourth quarter of the 3-and-out. Packers offense has to do a better job of that, especially with the Packers defense just getting gassed. I mean, you can't have 3-and-outs. They know that. We know that, okay? But after Chicago tied it up yesterday, that Packers offense going out there and responding with a touchdown. I know it's not our game changers yet, but Josh Jacobs, that run on 3rd-and-1 when it looked like, I'll tell you, I can't tell you what I said right when that play started because I'd probably get fired with the word that came out of my mouth because it sure looked like it was going to be a tackle for a loss. Somehow the man gets through and picks up a huge first down. That's a game-changing play. But the way that offense responded, the way that, and for as much as we hate 3rd-and-1s and running out of shotguns, they got it through on that touchdown, on that go-ahead touchdown. But the way the offense responded to go up 28-21, fantastic. And then the other game-changer play, it's getting lost in the shuffle, and it should not get lost in the shuffle. It was a game-changing play, that final drive. JJ, Enoch Barre, that tackle was at like 3rd-and-1 or 3rd-and-short, whatever it was. For him to make that play to force 4th down, that was huge. And that's what we're talking about when we do our game-changing plays. Game-changer players, game-changer plays. That play, it's probably not. It's not going to be a top 10 play. It's not going to be a play that's going to show up in the stat sheets. But it's a play like that's a game-changer play. That, to me, was one of the biggest plays in the entire game. Do not let that play go unnoticed if you are a Packers fan. Okay? The Nixon one, getting a ton of play. Christian Watson for his game, Josh Jacobs, all those were fantastic. But that play by Enoch Barre to make that tackle on 3rd-and-shorts was absolutely fantastic. And just throwing this out there, it's not the end of the season. But at this point, going forward, into the future, I would not be opposed if Green Bay somehow found a way, because he's going to be a free agent after this year, to bring back Enoch Barre and move on from Rashawn Gary. I think JJ, they call him JJ. I think the season that he's having and some of the plays that he has been making is just, I'd rather see 55 back next year. I'd rather see that guy back. That's just my opinion. But I feel like he has been making some big-time plays this year, and that play that he had yesterday was a game-changing play. Fantastic. I mean, you had Carl. The one frustrating thing, too, first of all, what I was going to say about Carl Brooks, that violent, was it DJ Moore on the end around? I got to imagine that his life flashed before his eyes on that play. But it was the one thing Green Bay's defense going forward, too, is going to have to figure out. Is going to have to do a better job at. And again, credit to Chicago for doing this, and Ben Johnson for doing this, too, sticking with that run, except for 4th-and-1, but just pounding that ball up the middle. And if we talk about weaknesses or holes in this otherwise great Packers defense, they have got to figure out how to be better at stopping the run up the middle. They have got to figure that out. For the most part, Green Bay did a good job of slowing down that run. Swift, 13 carries for 63 yards. 57 yards for Kyle on 14 carries. 4.8 yards an average, 4.1 yards an average. Chicago, 32 total carries for $138. What also helped, I think, a little bit out of that, though, too, was Green Bay jumping out to that lead. So stat-wise, box scores, you're probably thinking, well, hey, they, coming off of last week's performance, with DeAndre and Kyle both getting over 100 yards, it's a win. But you look at that one drive towards the end where they just, 17 plays or whatever ridiculous number it was. That's, if there's going to be teams coming up here, they're going to look at it like, okay, that's where we got to attack Green Bay's defense is up the middle, running the ball up the middle. But hopefully that's something they can figure out going forward. And, not to get too far ahead of myself, but if, you're like Baltimore and that running game and such, but they've been struggling here a little bit though too, so who knows. But there's a lot more to get to here, so let's dive into it. We got to take a quick break though. I'm getting a little long-winded here, so we got to take a quick break. But we'll have more Green and Gold. Your thoughts, your texts, continue to set them up or send them on over 715-830-1912 or hit us up on the video stream. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more coming up after these quick words. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we're going to be at the VFW Post 305 for our annual Festivus for the Rest of Us show, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And if you stop by and say hi to Brandon or myself, I'm going to buy you a pint of Man Cave Light. And then from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., VFW Post 305 is going to be doing $1 domestic mugs, $2 craft mugs. Again, from 6A to 10A. We got the feats of strength between C-Bomb and Surveyor starting at 9 a.m. that day. We'll be airing grievances and all that good stuff that comes with Festivus. So put it on your calendars, 2 weeks from tomorrow already, December 23rd, our Festivus program. And a big thanks to VFW Post 305 for hosting us for our Festivus for the Rest of Us program. All right. To answer your question, Evan, very happy about why is our quarterback getting snaps or targets over Wicks, who had his best game ever last week. Matt LaFleur addressed that after the game. He said Wicks was dealing with an ankle injury. That limited him. He was coming off of an ankle injury from that game, and that was affecting him, so that's why the lack of reps. So, but yeah, Matt LaFleur was asked about that after the game and said Wicks was dealing with an ankle injury, so that's why he had limited snaps in the game yesterday. So, but C-Bomb, we'll save the game changer. We're not to game changer yet. So game changer Tuesday is coming at you tomorrow here and such. But if you had to have a game ball to pass out to anybody, who would it be? Who would you hand out a game ball to? For what it's worth, Matt LaFleur handing out 2 game balls after the game yesterday. One to Christian Watson for his 2 touchdowns, and the other to Keyshawn Nixon for that interception in the end zone yesterday. So, but if there anybody else you would hand a game ball to? Is there anybody else who you'd hand a game ball to? You can let me know. Send those on over. But to C-Bomb's point about a game changer, Luke Musgrave's diving attempt at that catch would have changed the entire narrative of that game. I don't believe there was sufficient evidence to overturn that call on the field. That play, Green Bay's drive is sustained and can continue to go down and score. Chicago would not have been able to run the ball like they did the rest of the game after that play had Green Bay even gotten a field goal. I do feel like that's a good one too, though, C-Bomb. Then just remind me to save that one for tomorrow when we do our high-V game changers. But that's a what if. That's a what if they stay with the call on the field, which they initially called was a catch. I feel like that would have changed the momentum. And to me, and this, I might be biased in this thing. I understand that. But I feel like Green Bay goes and keeps that momentum and they score. You just wonder, like, would that game have been a little bit more in control for Green Bay? Maybe not as close as it ended up being. But it was clearly evident in that first half. Outside of the score, Green Bay was dominating. Absolutely dominating. And I just, that kind of changed the flow of it, kind of let the wind out of the sails a little bit. And that, I'll be honest, too, is like that was creeping in my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay, is this going to be one of those Packers games where we're dominating in a lot of facets in the game, right? I mean, we're moving the ball in offense, but we are the offense is what's stopping themselves from punching it in. Defense is playing at another level, but we got to get points. We can't just let them hang around, right? So I was a little bit nervous with that aspect, but I tend to agree with what you're kind of saying there, C-Bomb. And I think that's more of a what if, like, what if they stayed with the call, which, again, I know I'm biased in this, probably. I don't know how you overturn that. I don't. I don't know how you overturn that. So that, I think, kind of took a little wind out of the sails. And but yeah, there was I had issues, and I know we're kind of, mindset. We're maybe, if you're a Packers fan, you got your beer goggles on and such. But even like a guy like Dan Orlovsky posted about it, those officials were not very good. They weren't on par in last night's game. Let's just call it for what it is. the biggest issue was, and I'm glad Matt LaFleur said this after the game too in his presser, but what is holding? Like that's literally what Matt LaFleur said after the game. He's like, I guess I don't understand what holding is. I think everybody in the world could see that Micah Parsons was getting just mauled. And apparently, too, during one of the timeouts or TV timeouts, Green Bay, the Jumbotron, they were like, there was the one play. And I think everybody knows what we're talking about where, I mean, Micah Parsons was getting like held by the neck, it felt like. And apparently the Jumbotron during that break, slow-mo kept replaying that. And the thing is too, is like, okay, announcers, let's call it. Brady, showcase that. I mean, that was a clear and obvious miss, and there was multiple times on. It's just, come on. What do you got to do? What do you got to do to get some laundry thrown out there? So, yeah, that was frustrating to see. That was really frustrating to see that. But, hey, they battled through. They got through it. And now you continue to stack them. You can't be complacent now after this win. I mean, we got it. These next 4 games, they're going to be tough. You're back in first place. You control your destiny in this whole thing. You cannot be complacent now. You can't afford to with this upcoming schedule. But, man, you look at Green Bay so far, 4-0 in the division. Look at last year. 1 win in the division, and that was thanks to a blocked field goal against Chicago. Every year, that's like the top goal or one of the top goals for every single team. Win your division games. Win your division games. And Green Bay has done a complete 180 on that so far compared to last year. Winning division games. 4-0. Got 2 more to go perfect 6-0. But, man, just an absolutely fantastic job for what a lot of people thought was the best division in football at the beginning of the season. And maybe for some, still believe that. It's one of the best. I don't know if I'd say it's the best right now, but it's definitely one of the best. And Green Bay, 4-0. It was just good to get more guys back in the fold yesterday. Quay Walker back. Jaden Reed, Birdman. I loved that they got him. They got him the ball right away, too. I loved that fact. I loved that they were getting him involved early. And he is your Tucker Kraft replacement. For all the talk about, Luke Musgrave and such and him getting more involved in that, Jaden Reed is your Tucker Kraft replacement in terms of the yak, yards after catch. That's where Tucker Kraft was so crucial in that passing game. Having Jaden Reed back for that aspect is going to be huge for this team going forward. And you saw, it felt like, and I'm looking at, some of the numbers here. It felt like, okay, Green Bay's kind of getting their tight ends a little bit more involved in this game. And I'm like, it felt like each of their 3 tight ends that they had playing were a little bit more involved in like Romeo Doubs and such. And you look at it, Luke Musgrave, 4 targets, couple catches, just 22 yards. Again, that number would have been boosted by that one play. But Wiley with that huge catch, 21 yards. Fitzpatrick, couple catches. Romeo Doubs didn't have a single catch, only targeted twice in that game. But utilizing the tight ends a little bit more, along with Jaden Reed in yesterday's game. Number 11 is going to be huge going down the stretch for this team. He does so many things. And you saw a glimpse of that. Yeah, you're looking at the box score. It's like, well, he only had 4 catches for 31 yards. A couple runs for 22 yards. That's where he's going to be so effective. All over the field. But that is your Tucker Kraft replacement, is Jaden Reed. And he adds another dimension to this ball club. And think about it. Yesterday's game was the first time, not counting Bo Melton, but maybe we need to, that all their top wide receivers were suited up and playing in the game together. The first time all season. Because Watson obviously missed the beginning portion of the season. Then Reed got hurt in week 2. But you had Watson, Reed, Romeo, Golden, Wicks, and then you throw in a little Bo Melton into the mixture. First time. But, yeah, good to have Birdman Reed back out there. Really good. All right. We got to take another quick break here, but continue to send me who gets your game balls, all right? Send them on over, 715-830-1912. We'll take our final break for this first hour, but we got plenty more Green and Gold chat coming your way on this Victory Monday. We'll be right back after these quick words. Best holiday ever is going on right now. Just head to aroundthe715.com. We've got contests, we've got events, all that good stuff over there. You want to win some tickets to a bunch of stuff going on like Country Jam, Hoofbeats, Rockfest, Summer Jam, Harlem Globetrotters as well. Lots of stuff going on there. So, again, the website aroundthe715.com. It's best holiday ever. Brought to you by Window World, Green Oasis, Northwestern Bank, TF Exteriors, EC Moving and Storage, SC Swiderski, Nicolay Bank in Eau Claire and Lake Hallie, HG Megs, and REM Community Services partnered with Savita Health, plus the district. So, again, it's best holiday ever. You want to win some gift cards, you want to win some tickets to some concerts and such, or to other events, again, just go to aroundthe715.com. So, all right, we got a few minutes left, but we got lots more Packers chats coming through you for the next few hours. Also, don't forget, too, it is also I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Okay? What's the best ones I'll read on the air? I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. And then give me who you think earns your game ball. I'm gonna go different than what Matt LaFleur did, just to make it not as simple, not to be a copycat or anything like that. So my game balls, I'll go one offense and I'll go one defense. Offensively, I'm gonna go Josh Jacobs. He didn't get a game ball from before, but I'm gonna go Josh Jacobs. Overall, solid game from him. Huge on that go-ahead drive. We mentioned that 3rd and 1 pickup from him. So I'm going to go Josh Jacobs for my offensive game ball. And I think for my defensive game ball, I'm going to go with JJ. I'm going to go Enoch Barre. I mean, he got the sack, got that huge stop on 3rd and short. So I'm going to go Enoch Barre. I thought he had a very solid game last night. I don't know what the Pro Football Focus grades look like. Again, I don't feel like that's the be-all, tell-all. I'm sure they don't have them as great. Who knows? I shouldn't even say that. But I'm going to go with 55. Kind of an underrated, again, game-changing plays from him yesterday. And I wouldn't mind if Green Bay somehow brought him back next year. I think Rashawn Gary won't be back with the team next year. I think they're going to move on from him. They're going to open up about $11 million in cap space because they've got decisions on some of their younger guys who are going to be up for new contracts. That's a Jaden Reed. That is a Tucker Kraft. That is an Enoch Barre if they decide to keep him. Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker, those guys. Tough decisions. That's why I still feel like this year, too, is incredibly important because you're still getting these guys on, quote, cheaper deals. But, all right. So, we'll obviously Packers talk throughout the rest of this morning, but a few other things I do want to get to here and get your thoughts throughout the morning is the college football playoff. Did they get it right? Yay or nay? Yay or nay? Did they get it right? I know baseball, too. We had the Hall of Fame. Jeff Kent, getting in the Hall of Fame, getting announced in the Hall of Fame. So, what are your thoughts on that? Over Mattingly, Murphy, Still, no Bonds, or Clemens. Jeff Kent getting in the Hall of Fame. I know he's got the most home runs by a second baseman of all time and such, but still. So maybe throw a little bit on that there. Best and worst from the weekend. What's your best and worst? Our VFW Post 305 best and worst. So you can send those on over. Hoops-wise, Badger men's basketball team taking down Marquette. Also, Badger women's team, huge victory yesterday. handing Michigan State, 20th ranked Michigan State, their first loss of the season. So big win for the Badger women's basketball team too. So we'll throw that in there. Bucks, at this point, we'll save this for another day, this topic, but I'll kind of throw it out there right now when we don't have a Packers game and such. But I mean, what's the expectation? What's your expectation for the Bucks going forward here now? I mean, we talk about how expectations change throughout a season, throughout a sports season and that. I mean, given what we've seen right now and all the other circumstances surrounding it, what are the expectations for the Milwaukee Bucks for this season, in your opinion? But something to hit up over there too. So, but shot clock's going to cut me off here in just under a minute. So next hour, we'll kick it back up, talking some green and gold. I've got my best and worst from the weekend. We'll see if any of ours match up. Continue to send me your game balls. Who gets a game ball for you from the offense, and who gets a game ball for you from the defense from the Packers game yesterday. Continue to send those on over via the texting line or on the YouTube stream as well. So we'll wrap up this week of the football season with a really interesting game tonight, Eagles and Chargers. Definitely more important for the Chargers, because if the Chargers win, it changes whether they win or lose, it kind of changes a little bit of the makeup from the AFC playoff picture here. Eagles lose tonight, they're still locked into that 3 seed, and a lot of it has to deal with Dallas also falling on Thursday to Detroit. So, all right, 1 hour in. We got a few more to go here. News updates, and we'll be back for hour 2 in just a few minutes. All right, second hour kicking off right now on this Monday morning of December 8th. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start on this Victory Monday. If you are a Packers fan, if you're a Bears fan, thanks for playing. We'll see you in less than 2 weeks. But continue to send me your analysis, your thoughts on the victory from last night. Give me some game balls. Who gets your game ball? From the offensive side and the defensive side in yesterday's game. Send those on over. Also, it is I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Best ones. I'll read off over the air. Also, it is a best and worst, or VFW Post 305. Best and worst from the weekend. So, my best. I mean, come on, it's Green Bay picking up a big-time W yesterday. I was jacked up. I was pumped up, excited to see that. I'll throw another wild card one in here just to take away from the easy pick. Best, how about Indiana? I know it's a conference, and I've got a thing about not rooting for division, conference teams and such, but in terms of football and that, Indiana Hoosiers beating Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, getting the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. Cignetti might be like the best coach hire in the last. You know what? I think that's going to be I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to call it audible here. I'm not saying Kurt Cignetti is the best college football coach of all time, but I'm just saying he has been the best hire in the sports coaching profession in maybe the last 10, 20 years or whatever. What that guy has done in 2 years at Indiana for a football team at Indiana, not the basketball team, but what the Indiana football program has done, wow. Because I'll be honest, it never even crossed my mind about Indiana football being one of the best teams in the country. It just, no. Thanks for playing on the schedule. Now it's, you look at, man, and then beating Ohio State. I know it probably didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Ohio State's still a 2 seed in the college football playoff and such, but it's hard not to cheer for Indiana when Wisconsin's not in it. I'm a Badgers fan, but when Wisconsin's not in it and Ohio State's in it, and then you still got Oregon in that, I have no problem at this point to cheer on the Hoosiers and get on that bandwagon. So that was the best from the weekend. The worst from the weekend is I'm going to say I thought the officiating overall, not just from the Packers, but even in that Baltimore and Pittsburgh game, that was the game I was watching. It wasn't the greatest weekend. Let's just say that. It was not the greatest weekend at. I'll be honest, I don't even know what a catch is either. The Isaiah Likely catch, non-catch, touchdown at the end of that Baltimore game. Here's my issue, okay? So first of all, that play was eerily similar to when Green Bay played Pittsburgh earlier in the season. And I'm blanking on the Pittsburgh receiver, but he caught it, and then Carrington Valentine knocked it away. Granted, the Pittsburgh receiver had like 4 or 5 steps. And then Carrington, wrestled it away and such. Likely had 2 steps down, but apparently because he didn't make a football move, or that 3rd step is why they reversed the call. Here's my issue. If a team is lined up on like the inch line or the 1 yard line, and you're putting that goal line formation in there, and a quarterback can take the ball and like jump over the pile. And as soon as that ball crosses the line, it doesn't matter if somebody punches it out. If that ball crosses the line, it's an instant touchdown. Or somebody's diving for the pylon. As soon as that ball the tip of the football crosses that line, it's a touchdown. But a receiver catches it, has 2 feet down, and then somebody knocks it away. It's not a catch. Why are we making this more difficult? Why? Why are we making things more difficult? If we can get away, if it's a rule where that quarterback can just literally jump over the pile and get that nose over and somebody punches it out, but it's still a touchdown, why is that not a touchdown? Why are we making things more confusing or more difficult? Like I didn't care who won that game between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. I had no horse in it. I don't care. But it's like, this is my issue when we get so far into the weeds on rules and changing stuff to where it's like, I don't know what a catch is anymore. I don't know what holding is in the NFL anymore. Why do we have to continue to make it more confusing, more frustrating? Why? So that's my best and worst from this past weekend. Yours, send them on over. 715-830-1912. C-Bomb says, you're correct. Likely had a touchdown. If that same play happened at the 10-yard line, they would have called it a fumble after that second foot was down and the play was over. John says, I'm giving my game ball to Josh Jacobs. He was definitely pounding yards yesterday. Lots of hard running all downhill. That game was, again, going back to yesterday's game, physical, that play, Cooper, the piece of his helmet, was it his helmet? Did they ever figure, was it a helmet? Or at first I thought it was like, did his mouthpiece come jarring out? But I think it was a piece of his helmet that flew off. There was some hard hitting in that game. That was giving us reminiscence of the black and blue division. That was some physical football yesterday. Evil Surveyor saying Notre Dame sitting out from their bowl game is like a child throwing a tantrum because they didn't get the toy that they thought they earned. I just chuckled yesterday when Notre Dame said, yeah, we're not going to any bowl game. If we're not in the top 12, we're not in the playoff, we're not going to the bowl game. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Should they have been in there? Sure, why not? It's debatable. But to say, yeah, we're not gonna do this anymore. And, we're on the flip side, you've got the Big 12, who is fining both Iowa State and Kansas State for not participating in bowl games. Because both those teams, losing their head coaches, they got ones in place, but deciding not to go play in bowl games. So the conference is fining them for not going, fining them $500,000 apiece for not going to go play a bowl game. So you got both sides of the thing. It's just, and the thing is too, it's like the bowl season is so weird because for a lot of these teams too, like, okay, just off the top of my head, okay, Notre Dame's not in the top 12. Okay, so they're not in the college football playoff. If they've got guys who are draft worthy are going to be like first round picks, those guys are probably not going to play in their bowl game if it wasn't going to be college football playoff. So it's so weird. I don't know what the fix is. And I don't think you can at this point in time. And what are your thoughts? I had a couple people message me yesterday and, talk about James Madison and Tulane making it. Should the college football playoff have these teams in it? Still keep these teams in it, winning their conference and such. But, you got James Madison playing Oregon now. Ole Miss is going to be going up against Tulane, but we know Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. So do you like the fact that they're incorporating these teams that have had really good seasons, but maybe they're going to get dominated in the playoffs? I go back and forth on this. I just want good football. I want good football games. I want the best of the best in there. Okay? This is different than college basketball where you can have your Cinderella runs. It's different. It's definitely, I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd see a top 12 college football playoff field with James Madison and Tulane in it. Or Indiana is the top seed. But in case you did miss it, Indiana's the one. They get to play the winner between Alabama and Oregon, which is an 8-9 matchup. Ohio State's the 2. They play the winner between Texas A&M and Miami. Georgia's 3. They play the winner between Ole Miss and Tulane. And Texas Tech is the 4. They play the winner between Oregon and James Madison, the 5-12 matchup. All right. Continue to send me your thoughts. Continue to send me your game balls. Give me a game ball from the defensive side. Give me a game ball from the offensive side. All right. Send those on over and send me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Make your holidays merry and bright with a trip to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. From fresh holiday hams and turkeys to seasonal produce, bakery treats, and all your favorite pantry staples, Hy-Vee in Eau Claire has everything you need for festive meals and gatherings. Their friendly staff is ready to help you find the perfect ingredients, and weekly specials make holiday shopping easy on your budget. Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, bringing freshness, value, and holiday cheer to your kitchen this season. We've got some game balls to hand out here. A couple more for Josh Jacobs, a couple for Christian Watson, a couple for Jordan Love as well. Defensively, we've got Nixon, we've got Barre, we got one for Parsons, one for Jeff Halfley, another one for Cooper as well. So continue to send those on over. All right, we'll get to some more of those coming up a little bit later on. So, C-Bomb also saying I think the NCAA is putting James Madison and Tulane in as an experiment. These games are actually huge for those smaller schools. If they make these games competitive or even win one, it justifies it. If they both get blown out, these smaller conferences might never get a chance to get in a playoff again. NCAA will continue to tinker with the playoff format until they find the most lucrative payout. So, Mark says Tulane and James Madison are in because they were two of the top 5 ranked conference champs. James Madison got in because the ACC ended up a weak conference champ in Duke. Incidentally, yes, I know Jim Schmidt is also the James Madison president as well. So, but yeah, I had got a couple more texts saying James. This is from Ben. James Madison, Tulane being in the conference football playoff is an absolute joke. They're going to get walloped. Just put the 12 best teams in, regardless if they win their conference championships or not. Steve also saying that. Just get the 12 best in. James Madison, you telling me that James Madison and Tulane are better than Notre Dame? No, Notre Dame should have been in. Notre Dame shouldn't be boycotting the bowl games, but Notre Dame should be in ahead of both those programs along with BYU. It goes back to the whole, conference champs and that whole debate stuff. Do you reward conference champs? Do conference championships matter? Do you just want to get the 12 best in there? It's going. That's the debate at hand for a lot of people on social media. A couple more coming in here. Mike says absolutely not. James Madison and Tulane shouldn't be in there. I don't care if they played in weaker conferences and maybe won their conference championships. Just give me the 12 best teams in there. And then, you got another text here. I don't have a name saying have to reward conference championships regardless of how weak they are. They should be in there. So I'll be honest. I don't know what the right or wrong answer is at this point. I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, whatever they continue to tinker with and whatever they continue to add, it'll probably still not be 100% foolproof. Not everybody's going to be on board with it. So whatever happens, whatever changes they make or whatever they adapt or whatever they adjust to, you'll never get 100%, probably hell, not even like 90%, 80% approval on the thing. It's just, that's where it's at. So I'll be curious, though, this year to see if we saw the same thing last year where every single team that had a bye last year lost. I'm kind of curious to see if that trend continues, to be honest with you. So, baseball-wise, we got a couple texts here. I did throw out this little nugget with Kent's getting into the Hall of Fame. Jeff Kent's, longtime second baseman for the Giants. Most home runs by a second baseman all time, I believe, too. Getting into the Hall of Fame on the contemporary era ballot. A couple people saying it's a joke that he's in over Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and even Don Mattingly. That comes from Eric on our texting line. I thought Dale Murphy and Mattingly should be in before. Ken saw a little bit earlier was a text from Matt on our texting line too. So, I had seen some people thinking that Don Mattingly was going to get in, but then you look at before there were some like baseball insiders and analysts talking a little bit about it, and it sure felt like from what they were saying that they thought Mattingly was going to get in. But he only had, I think he didn't get a ton of votes. You need was it 12? Let me double check. I think you needed to get 12 to get in. Let me see if I can find it really, how the voting went. Jeff Kent got 14 of the 16 votes. Carlos Delgado got 9 of the 16 votes. Don Mattingly, 6 of the 19 votes. And then Dale Murphy got 6 of the 19 votes. Fewer than 5, Bonds and Roger Clemens. So, and I did see one of the baseball insiders out there too saying writers may not like the steroid era players, but it's apparent that the contemporary ballot voters really don't like the steroid era players. I am going to make that I'll just give you a heads up and go vote on our Facebook page, the Sports Talk 105.1 Facebook page when it gets posted up later today. You can text in if you want, but if you want your vote to count, I am going to put this up as a poll question or a post-Glassmere poll question. But should Bonds and Clemens be in? Should they be in? Where are you at on it? I know. Let's take Pete Rose away from this conversation. Okay, I'm not going to add Pete Rose to this. I'm strictly going towards. I'll even throw A-Rod into this. Okay, so let's go with the Clemens, the Bonds, and the Alex Rodriguez's. Should they be in the Hall of Fame? If you had a vote, let's put it this way. If you had a vote, would you put yes to the Hall of Fame? Maybe you're on the Contemporary Baseball Hall of Fame committee. You're part of the 16-member committee. Would you have voted for Bonds? Would you have voted for Roger Clemens? So I'm going to put that as our post-Glassmere 715 Speaks poll question. I'll probably do it this morning while we're still on the air just to kind of keep an updated tally. But curious to see where everybody's thought process is on that one. But so maybe a little bit of a surprise because, again, it's kind of going through it. And a lot of people were on the Murphy and Mattingly thought train that they were going to get in. But it's Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent getting in there. So, yay, nay, thumbs up, thumbs down on that vote. Let me know. Tim says, do you think the college football playoff committee is sending a message to Notre Dame to join a conference? They are not the powerhouse they used to be. I don't know. But Notre Dame is still a draw, and I think it's all about money, and Notre Dame still brings in a ton of money at this point. So, Big Worm says, I'm taking a game ball away from Nixon. Yes, he had the interception at the end of the field, but 30 yards of unsportsmanlike penalties is a killer. You can't do that against great teams. I would agree with that. I get it. That second one that he had, I mean, he was getting choked out, but how many times have we said it? It's the second person that always gets caught, right? And you can't do that. You can't do that, especially like when you're getting into a playoff game. Just cannot. So, all right, we got to take another quick break here, but hey, send me your I'm not sayings, but I'm just sayings, and send me your game balls. And let me throw this one out there. Okay? Rivalry game yesterday in our neck of the woods where we're at in this region. Obviously, we're very close to our other rival, the Minnesota Vikings. I was just there on Friday. But considering where these two teams are at between, or these three teams, Packers, Bears, Vikings. Let's take the Lions out of the question here right now. Okay, no offense to Lions. I'm just taking you out of this. I know Packers-Vikings is a bigger, probably, rivalry around this area. But with all the back and forth and with all the trash talk kind of going there, and even between the coaches and such, and the icy handshake and that, on your personal scale of rivalries, rival teams, if the Bears moved ahead right now, are the Bears public enemy number one for you if you are a Packers fan? Have they moved up to public enemy number one for you? We'll take a quick break. Back with plenty more coming up in just a few minutes. This holiday season, give your home a fresh new look with Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Whether it's cozy carpet for the living room, stylish luxury vinyl planks for the dining room, or durable vinyl for high traffic areas, Carpet City Flooring Center has the perfect flooring to make your home warm and welcoming for families and friends. Their experienced team will help you choose the right style, guide you through measurements, and provide professional installation, making it easy to get your home holiday ready without the stress. With quality products, fair pricing, and service that you can trust, Carpet City Flooring Center has been helping homeowners in the Eau Claire, Chippewa Valley area transform their spaces for years. Don't wait. Stop by today and see their wide selection or visit online to learn more. Carpet City Flooring Center, bringing warmth, style, and comfort to your home for many, many years to come. Evan says, I'm not saying the Packers shouldn't do team celebrations. I'm just saying get back to doing Lambeau leaps. Hey, we got one yesterday, though. Watson did do one, so got to see that. Otherwise, yeah, they've been pretty darn quiet in that department. So Surveyor says, are we seriously telling Nixon you can't swipe away hands of a guy who had you around the throat? This is where that stupid review from New York should step in. Absolutely BS. I would agree with that, Surveyor, but at the same time, I mean, you go back to it. Nixon was just coming off of a 15-yard unsportsmanlike already. He didn't need to walk into that situation, get into Luther Burden's face, and kind of instigate something. I mean, you still got to be smarter in that situation. You're right. I don't think Nixon should have been penalized for that, but I don't think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt when a couple plays ago he already got flagged for unsportsmanlike. And walking over and getting into the face of another person, I get it. Emotions are running high. Anybody who's played a competitive sport, it's hard not to do a little trash talking. It's hard not to, and I think there was a little bit of a scuffle going on there. It's hard not to, get involved, if you will. But you got to be smarter in that situation, though, too. I would agree with the aspect that New York should have came in and said, no. It's actually maybe no, wrong guy on there. And he didn't throw a punch. I mean, I know some people are saying he threw a punch. He didn't throw a punch. I mean, you could clearly see that he was swiping his arm away. But I don't think Nixon's going to get the benefit of the doubt. I don't. I think you got to understand the situation better, especially considering you just got flagged and you don't need to go into that situation and get in the face of the guy. That's where I don't think he's going to get the benefit of the doubt on that play. And that's where he could do better and be better in that situation and not put your team in that spot. But I understand it. Emotions are high in a rivalry game like that. And we know he is a very emotional type of player, right? Emotional type of player. So I think that's what you get with a guy from Nixon. You got to take some of that stuff, and hopefully there's more good than bad that comes from it from Nixon. I mean, and again, Nixon to me yesterday, there was times, especially, a few times in that game yesterday, I'm like, dude, just make a play, and then you make the play at the end. But there was definitely it was an up and down performance from Nixon, and I think that's fair to say. But hey, his teammates love him. I can't repeat what Micah Parsons said about him afterwards, but Micah Parsons is a fan of Keyshawn Nixon. Josh Jacobs is a fan of Keyshawn Nixon, and those two were on the Raiders together, so they've got a close friendship over there too. But yeah, who does get your game balls? We got some more game balls here for Jordan Love. We got a couple more for Josh Jacobs. Got a Jaden Reed one. Got Enoch Barre, Watson, Parsons. Mostly on the defensive ones, and a couple more for Nixon. Texter just coming in and saying, you're exactly right. Keyshawn Nixon just has to know the situation better. Understand it's hard to keep your emotions in check, but has to understand the situation better. So that's from Dave on our texting line. So, but overall, continue to send me your thoughts from yesterday's matchup. Packers, Bears, plenty to get to here. Just switching it over here. A couple messages to get back to baseball here. Because it is, hey, winter meetings are going on. It's hot stove season with the Brewers. Will there be anything from the Brewers side of things now that we've got these the infamous winter meetings going on? Will the Brewers be able to do anything? Will they do anything? I don't think anything's going to happen from the Brewer side of things. Just not to be a party pooper or anything like that, but I don't think anything's going to happen when it comes to the Brewers down in Orlando, Florida. And I know this was from Adam McCulvey. This was a few days ago from Brewers.com. He did say, and obviously a big question is going to be Freddie Peralta. And according to this little write-up from Adam McCulvey, he said these winter meetings will provide President of Baseball Operations, Matt Arnold, much more information about which direction to go. So far, he has not seen an offer that piques his interest. Quote, I'm not sure that there's a scenario that's been presented that would make any sense for us. We obviously get hits on him all the time. He's a very popular target, but he's also a huge part of our team, and we want to be competitive in 2026. A big part of that is bringing back the core that we just had last season. And as McCulvey notes, the biggest needs for this team going to be power, going to be pitching depth, clarity on the coaching staff. Says, as Ricky Weeks has moved to a front office, leaving Milwaukee without a right-hand man for Pat Murphy, hitting coach Connor Dawson, left to go to the Royals. The Brewers are expected to make more moves to set the 2026 staff, and they will probably spend some of their time in Orlando working on that critical puzzle piece. So, yeah, kind of forgot a little bit about that, but I know initially they said with Ricky Weeks going to the front office that they weren't going to hire somebody new and kind of put the duties, share the wealth, share the duties amongst their coaching staff. So, but what do you got to say here, sir? Problem was that Burn was already on the Packer side of the ball after the whistle, jawing, and Keyshawn was already walking to that spot on the field. I understand that you can't just be doing idiotic things when you're flagged, but Burden was inciting everything. Again, this is where that review from New York should step in, along with the interception that was called incomplete. I mean, agree to disagree with this surveyor. I mean, you can watch the video, and Keyshawn literally walks right up into Burden's face. I mean, just take yourself out of the situation. That's where I'm at. Just take yourself out of the situation. Yeah, he shouldn't have been penalized. I think we both agree on that. He should not have been penalized, but just take yourself out of the situation. You're not going to get the benefit of the doubt in that. All right, let's take a quick break here. Justice Cleveland's going to be joining us at 9 o'clock here. We'll do some local sports roundup with him. Plus, he was at the game yesterday. So we'll get his thoughts on that as well. But until then, we got plenty more to get to. We'll be back to wrap up the second hour in just a couple minutes. Make holiday shopping simple this year with a stop at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. From premium hand-cut roasts and holiday hams to perfectly seasoned brats, fresh ground beef, and all your favorite meats, Mike's has everything you need to make your holiday meals unforgettable. Stock up for family gatherings, gift great local flavor, and enjoy the quality and service that only a hometown market delivers. Mike's Star Market, bringing fresh local goodness to your holiday season. I got another texter here. Looks like it's from Mike saying, I know it's not a grind my gears Tuesday, but what's grinding my gears is the love for Keyshawn Nixon. The guy had an awful almost nearly 4 quarters of football, but because he makes a pick in the end zone that, yes, sealed the game, all is forgotten about his poor play prior to that. Like you mentioned, he just cannot put himself in situations that will get him penalized. He was already penalized on that drive for unsportsmanlike. He has to know the situation better. He cannot continue to keep getting away, cannot continue to have stupid penalties. So, another texter didn't know Keyshawn Nixon would be in debate here, but here we are. Another texter saying Nixon has to know better in that situation. I think he was trying to come over and step up or stand behind Carrington Valentine because Valentine and Burden were jawing, but Nixon has to know that he's probably already got a target on him from the officials. He cannot put himself in that situation. So I've always I don't want to get too far into this thing, but I'll just say this. I've always been of the mindset that don't put yourself in a position where the officials are going to make a call. And don't put yourself in a position where you're relying on officials to make the right call. Just don't. Because you're in a 50-50 spot. Don't rely on officiating to make the right call. If you're relying on that, you're just don't put yourself in that position. So that's where I've always, I don't care what sport it is, control the game yourself. If you have the opportunity to control a situation, put it in your hands. Don't let the outcome of a game, don't rely the outcome of the game to be on the officials or anything like that, or a play. Don't rely on that. Sometimes they get it right, sometimes they don't. I'd rather have you control your destiny. You control the outcome. You control what you can control. So let's just kind of put a nail in the coffin on that whole debate. Packers won, for crying out loud, okay? All right? They won. We don't need to be complaining at each other and stuff. Packers won. Let's look at the bigger picture here. They're 9-3-1, second place in the NFC playoff picture, first place in the NFC North. We're going to definitely talk more about their upcoming schedule here in the next few days because it is a grind. It is a tough schedule. You've got Denver coming in. I know people aren't high on Denver and such. Okay, I get that. I understand that, but they're still 11-2. Okay? They're still, a very, very good team. Don't overlook Denver just because, their offense, they're not splashy. Like I was listening to Gronk after the Packers game yesterday and talking about, their offense not being as explosive and splash plays and all that sort of stuff. And I agree, and I get it. Their offense, but their defense, they really know how to get after the quarterback. They've got a solid defense. You're going to Denver, okay? You're going to their house, all right? Don't overlook Denver. Green Bay doesn't have the luxury to overlook Denver. They don't have the luxury to overlook anybody in these last 4 games. Okay? You have to take it for what you have to prepare like each one of these games is a must-win situation because Green Bay is in a must-win situation for cry-eye. You want to win that division because in less than 2 weeks, December 20th, you're already seeing Bears fans already saying, I've never been more confident in a game than I am for December 20th. They're already proclaiming that. And I'd be lying to myself if I said that I wasn't a little bit worried about that December 20th game. But I'm worried about this weekend. I'm worried about that game. I'm worried about Baltimore, and I'm worried about Minnesota. I'm worried about every single game. I don't know how the outcomes are going to go, but I'm not going to go out there and say I've never been more confident in a game. You feel good about games. You feel good about matchups and such, but that's not what they're decided. Games aren't decided by feelings or what the formulas or the analytics or what the stats tell you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be settling this thing on the field. So don't just take Denver for granted because maybe you're like, oh, well, their offense. For crying out loud. I mean, Green Bay lost to Cleveland earlier on in the season for cry. We can't take them for granted. They're going to be a playoff team. Hell, they're probably going to win their division. Kansas City can't win their division anymore. And if the Chargers lose tonight, I don't know if that clinches. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but it's got to be pretty darn close for Denver to clinch that thing. But we'll talk plenty more green and golds coming up throughout the morning as we hit the halfway mark. Bucks-wise, switching gears here just for the last few minutes. Chris Haynes, NBA insider for Amazon. He talked apparently, so NBA insider Chris Haynes apparently talked to Giannis recently in the last few days. And tried to get his thoughts on all the rumors, trade rumors. His thoughts about, does he want to leave Milwaukee? And Chris Haynes, let me do I have enough time to so let me play this clip. This was from NBA on Prime. And what Chris and Giannis apparently talked about. So let me play the clip because it'll be better that way. So audio courtesy from NBA on Prime.
This takes us to Milwaukee, where Giannis is reportedly weighing his future with the only franchise that he's played for. The Bucks are now 10-14 on the season, and the two-time MVP is out with a calf injury. Chris, what is the latest there?
So this is what I can say. I did reach out to Giannis, and he spoke to me about just being where his feet are planted. He said that is where his focus is at. And he told me something about 5 years ago, and he said, Chris, remember what I told you 5 years ago? I remember, but I said, no, tell me. He said, there are people who see a door, and they want to hurry up and escape through that door. He said, but I see a wall, and I want to run through the wall and make things work. He said, so that's my focus right now. I want to run through a wall, make things work, get healthy, and try to be there for my team. And he said he doesn't know what's going on behind the scenes with the front office or, what they're looking at doing as far as his future goes. He said his focus is getting healthy and being there for his team and not running from situations.
So there you go. There's a little bit from Chris Haynes, again, NBA insider for Amazon on Prime. And then Chris Haynes did ask him about, why did you swipe clean sweep your social media? And kind of a weird answer, but he said he referred to an interview that he saw Michael B. Jordan and Denzel Washington. In that interview, Denzel told Michael, quote, what is stopping the masses from going to your show? And when they do, are they going to come in droves? Because I can make the case that they already see your social media, and so you're already visible. So why would they go to your shows in droves? Giannis said he looked at it from that standpoint. He told me, you know what? I'm deleting all my social media stuff. I'm only leaving a couple championship photos out there. If people want to see me, come to the games, and I'll give you all of me and showcase what I can do. Okay, I guess I'm not doubting that's what Giannis is thinking or saying, but it's not like Giannis is just putting up clips of his games all the time, right? It's kind of a weird answer. Kind of just a little bit of a weird answer, but so Whether that tempts down the talk and such remains to be seen. We'll talk some more Bucks coming up a little bit later on. Halftime, 2 in, 2 more to go. Continue to send me who gets your game balls, your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, and the best and worst from the weekends. We'll be back after these news updates. Third hour kicking off right now. Big thanks for hanging out with us this morning, whether you're on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, tuning in online at sportstalk1051.com, the YouTube stream, your Alexa devices, the app, all over the place. Hit us up with some text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, the video stream as well. We got Zach saying, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying that the officiating this season has been horrible. And I'm not just referring to this game last night, or even just the Packers overall across the league. I'm giving a game ball as well to Josh Jacobs. That 3rd and 1 was huge, and he got the first down and then some. So, yeah, definitely. That was, again, that play, saw it unfolding on TV. I said a word that I can't say right now because I was like, oh, it looked like he was going to be maybe tackled for a loss or right at the line of scrimmage. How he got through, but that was a huge play. That was a game-changing play. That and Enoch Barre's TFL or tackle rate at the line of scrimmage on that 3rd and short was huge too. So, hey, with the snow, we got snow and we got colder temperatures. It sounds like we're going to get a lot more snow here, which means, is your vehicle ready? At AJM Automotive in Eau Claire, their expert technicians will make sure your car is prepared for snow, ice, and long trips, maybe for the holiday season. From brake checks, tire changes, to battery tests and fluid inspections, they've got you covered. And if you do run into trouble too, remember, if you get just slippery roads coming back on Friday, definitely saw some vehicles in the ditch and that. AJM Automotive, they offer towing services to get you safely off the road. So put this number in your cellular phone device, 715-935-8523, 715-835-9523. And I just actually drove by, was it on Friday? Saw a couple snowblowers outside their shop too. They can help you out. They can tune those up, get them ready, so you can snowblow your driveway as well. Plus, they offer plowing services too. So AJM Automotive, man, they do it all. I actually got to give them a quick call to bring my vehicle in over there too. So, again, that number, 715-835-9523. AJM Automotive, located 1919 Brackett Avenue in Eau Claire. Obviously, we got lots of Packers chat here this morning on a Victory Up Monday. JC Anisi, Justice Cleveland Sports Director, WEAU 13 News, will be hopping on at 9. We'll do some local sports roundup with him, but he was also in Green Bay last night covering the game, so we'll get his reaction, his thoughts. If anybody was at that game last night, I'd love to know what the environment was like because, boy, it sure sounded like on TV – Packers fans were in it right away. I mean, it sounded loud. So, tip of the cap to Packers fans who were at that game because at least on TV, it sounded loud. So, I'm just genuinely curious if anybody was there, what was that environment like? Was it as good as it sounded like on TV, or at least what it looked like on social media too? I'm curious to hear from you. So, let me know. Let me know what it was like. Because I'm sitting there watching that game, and I'm like, oh, I should be there. Why didn't I go? Talking to a buddy of mine during the game, the only person I'll talk to during a Packer game, and we're like, why didn't we go? Why didn't we go? Bears apparently returned some tickets, so there were some limited available tickets left. So it's like, dang it. And now we only got one more regular season game to go. Hopefully there's a playoff game. Hopefully a couple games at Lambeau Field for the playoffs. But there's only 4 more games left, and we only got one more regular season game at Lambeau. It's against Baltimore. Man, it's hard to believe. It's just flying on by. So, but start to think about this as we inch closer into the later on in the week and that, but with the final 4 games. What do you think that record's got to be for Green Bay to win the division and maybe even catch the Rams or the Seahawks for that top spot in the NFC? Right now, the Rams hold the top spot in the NFC, but you look at their upcoming schedule, they've got the Lions this weekend. Now, granted, the Lions are coming to them, and then you got that big rematch, short week, Rams taking on the Seahawks for Thursday Night Football. On the flip side, for the Seahawks schedule, they have the Colts, but now the Colts with no Daniel Jones doesn't look great. But now you look at Seahawks here too. So Colts, Rams, Panthers, 49ers. A little bit more of a difficult schedule here for the Seahawks. So I guess if you're a Packers fan, you're hoping for that number 1 spot. Just in my opinion, I think you root for, obviously, Detroit against the Rams. You root for that. And then I think maybe you root for the Seahawks to beat the Rams, give them 2 losses, because then maybe the Seahawks could lose one to the 49ers. I don't know. It's tough. I always get nervous on trying to figure that stuff out, but something to watch here for sure. But this NFC playoff race, I mean, you look at the teams. 49ers with a 4-loss team just kind of hanging around. You've got an interesting division race now between Tampa Bay and Carolina. Tampa Bay with a bad loss yesterday against the Saints. And now they're tied with Carolina. Tampa Bay right now is still holding on to the division lead, but they're 7-6. Carolina, 7-6. You got the Bears, who were 1 yesterday, dropping down to a 7 seed. This is how AFC, NFC wise, these playoff standings are just crazy. They're kind of nuts here. And I'm just kind of seeing, so Detroit 8-5, just on the outside looking in. Obviously Carolina, just on the outside looking in. But you're Detroit right now. You're probably, I mean, obviously you're hoping to be a Browns fan and a Packers fan again to try to catch the Bears. I think that's, if you're a Lions fan, I think that's probably your best bet, is trying to catch the Bears in the standings here, because let me bring up the 49ers schedule. So the 49ers have the Titans, then they got the Colts. They also have the Bears, and then they finish up with the Seahawks. So, yeah, and then, Lions and Bears. I mean, that last game of the season between those two teams, that could potentially be for a playoff spot. I know I've said it a few times, but that Week 18 schedule is legit. Right now, it's shaping up to be a kind of a crazy, crazy, crazy weekend of football games, because you've got Baltimore at Pittsburgh. We'll see how that one plays out with standings. Seattle at San Francisco. Colts at Texans kind of takes a hit now with no Daniel Jones, but we'll see how it all shakes out. Lions at Bears. Carolina at Tampa could be for the division. You throw in a little Green Bay at Minnesota. Yeah, there's some really Chargers at Denver that weekend too. We'll see what that's going to look like at that point. Maybe, I mean, Chargers schedule coming up here. We know they got the Eagles tonight. They win that one. Then they got the Chiefs. Then they got the Cowboys. Then they got the Texans. And then they got the Broncos. Ooh, Chargers have a brutal, brutal schedule to finish. Broncos, we know they got the Packers. Then they got the Jaguars. Then they got the Chiefs. And then they got the Chargers. So, I mean, for crying out loud, that AFC West race, especially if, Chargers win tonight and say Denver loses to Green Bay, that could be a good race to the finish here too. So heading into these final 4 weeks, a lot of stuff to be watching in terms of playoff chases and such. Some good stuff. If you're a football fan, just a general football fan, you got to be loving this. So we'll get back to some more Packers and Bears chat here, but who else gets your game balls? What were your thoughts, your analysis? Put on your NFL analyst hat from the game yesterday. What stood out to you? All right. What stood out to you? We'll talk more about this game to kind of put a bow on everything. And then, later on in the week, we'll start to focus on the Denver Broncos. So, but let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk more Packers, Bears. I want to talk a little bit more about Jayden Reed and just how I think it's huge. It's big to have that guy back in the fold on this offense. So talk a little bit about that. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be back here after these quick words. Looking for that perfect gift for the hunter or shooter in your life this holiday season? Look no further than by going to our good friends at Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls. You can check out their website, their easy-to-use website at tildengun.com, or stop by their shop at 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. All right, 12427 98th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. So, again, we got a couple weeks yet till Christmas. So maybe if you're looking for that new deer rifle, maybe you're looking for a 22 or whatever the case may be, go visit Sean and Hunter. They'll help hook you up and make it a very, very, very special Christmas for that hunter shooter in your life. Tilden Gun, our good friends at Tilden Gun in Chippewa Falls. So Jaden Reed making his return yesterday for the Pack. And I feel like this is just my opinion, okay? Just my opinion. But to me, Jaden Reed, with Jaden Reed's return to this ball club since his week 2 injury against the Commanders, he is the Tucker Kraft replacement. Jaden Reed is the Tucker Kraft replacement. I know when Tucker Kraft went down, it was all about Luke Musgrave and all this. But Jaden Reed is the Kraft replacement because what this offense has been missing outside of a, tight end who can stay in line to block and be a threat in the passing game, the overall complete tight end. What this offense has been missing has been a lot of the middle of the field yak opportunities, yards after catch. Jaden Reed can do that. He is your guy for that. And from a receiving standpoint, from a pass catching standpoint, that to me is the replacement for Tucker Kraft. Jaden Reed is the replacement for Tucker Kraft. And it was awesome to see this team get him involved early on. Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love, to see him, to get him involved as early as they did. And mixing him in, whether it was, and pass routes, end arounds, getting the ball in his hands and letting him, kind of knock off some of that rust. Because it's been a hot minute, right? I mean, this was a guy recovering from 2 surgeries, for crying out loud. Foot and collarbone. Okay? So just getting him involved early, kind of knocking off some of that rust, letting him take a couple hits, and it's like, all right, back into it. So Birdman, they call him Birdman, but having Birdman back, I think is going to be a huge boost for this offense going forward. Because they've been missing. And Adam Stenovich, offensive coordinator Adam Stenovich, kind of acknowledged it late last week in one of their pressers that, with Jaden Reed out, they haven't been able to do some of their schemes or some of their play calls or a portion of their playbook. Now that he's back and now that he's going to be going forward here, he is such a unique weapon. I mean, we've called him how many times a Swiss Army knife for this offense, for this team. And it's going to be a huge boost going forward. And I understand that there's still some fans disappointed in Matthew Golden so far this year. And you look at the snap counts from yesterday's game. And he only played, was it 5 or 6 snaps? Let me double check it here. But Matthew Golden coming back, and yeah, he played 5 snaps. Dontavian Wicks played 6. Truth of the matter is, if Jaden Reed's not playing, those guys probably have an increase in snaps. But the fact that they had Watson, Dobbs, Jaden back, you throw a little Bull Melton in there for a few snaps, you're allowed to kind of ease them back in. And Matt LaFleur, again, said after the game that, they're still dealing with some of their injuries. Good enough to go out there on the field and that. I do feel like if, one of those other guys, like whether it was a Watson or a Dobbs or a Reed, got banged up, they probably would have been able to play more reps. So I know it's been a disappointing rookie year for Matthew Golden when you look at it. When you look at the numbers, and we've watched all these games. We've watched every single snap through these games. Numbers wise, 24 catches, 286 yards, no touchdowns yet. Don't close the book on Matthew Golden. Don't. I hope for all that is out there that there is no Packers fans out there saying that Matthew Golden is a bust, saying that that pick stunk. Stop. Okay? We've done this how many times? We've gone through this how many times with players? Stop. All right? Just stop. Let it play out for a little bit. Give it a little bit. If he wasn't a first round pick, there's probably people not freaking out too much about it. If he was like a second round pick, third round pick, they're probably yeah. But the fact that he was a first round pick, it's you've got fans that are going to be freaking out about it. Don't freak out about it, okay? I still got confidence in Matthew Golden. The more he gets in there, the more comfortable he's going to get, the more opportunities are going to come his way. So don't freak out. Don't panic so much right now. But you look at these options now from a receiving standpoint, and I think that allows, and I thought it was really, you look at it too from the tight end standpoint. Going back to that, okay? Looking at the snap counts, Fitzpatrick played 57% of the snaps. Wiley played 42% of the snaps. Musgrave played 40% of the snaps. I mean, that's almost a even split between those three. Obviously, with Fitzpatrick playing 57, I mean, you're talking about 17% more than Musgrave. But I thought it was evident more so in that game than maybe any other game post Tucker Kraft, really trying to get all three tight ends involved. And I think all three are they bring something different. Because Musgrave, we know, is more of the pass-catching tight end. Fitzpatrick's more of the blocking guy. Wiley could do a little bit of both. He could do a little bit. He's not a Tucker Kraft level tight end, but he could do a little bit of both. And they can give you different things in here. So I'm curious now to see, looking at that game from yesterday, we're going to see more, maybe more 12 personnel with the tight ends. Or are we going to see 13 personnel? How it gives Green Bay's options, right? 12 personnel, again, one running back, two tight ends, two receivers on the field. 13, one running back, three tight ends, one receiver, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, or maybe more 11, or maybe more empty set, whatever. I just think you add Jaden Reed back to the fold. You have these tight ends here. I think you can add a little bit more to that playbook here and adjust things a little bit too. But I'm glad to see 11 back out there. I'm glad to see him back out there. So I think he's going to be a big boost for this team going forward. I really do. I think he's going to be a key for this. He's going to open up things for other people. But is it fair to say, can we label Christian Watson as the number one wide receiver on this team now? Can we call that? Can we say he is the number one wide receiver? Like he is the guy. We are seeing Christian Watson's route tree kind of expand, and we're seeing him being involved in. It's not just, hey, go deep, go run a fly pattern, go run a post route or a corner route. I mean, we saw the slant across the middle, and he's outrunning guys. I mean, you're talking about a man beater play there. We're seeing him involved in different. To me, he is clearly the number one wide receiver. And you look at, that contract now that he's signed, while he was still recovering from an injury. And you had some fans say, why? He's not even back. Why are they doing this? Right now? Heck yeah, why not? It was a 1 year, $11 million contract. All it included was a little over $6 million signing bonus. Next year, his cap hit is only 6.96. 6.96. He's got some voided years after that, too. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I would not be surprised if he gets another contract before the start of next season. I wouldn't be. To me, Christian Watson is now is clearly the number one wide receiver on this team. And we're seeing him develop into a more well-rounded wide receiver with those expanded route trees, with him being utilized in, lining up in different spots on the field too. And he's just a big play waiting to happen. Yeah, I think it's fair that we start calling him WR1, wide receiver number one. And I think next year when you look at it, it's going to that receiving group, it's going to be your Watsons, Goldens, Reeds, and that's still going to be a solid group with a lot more room to grow here too. That's the other part with these guys too. They're still pretty darn young, and there's still some room to grow with some of these dudes. That's what should be exciting. All right, let's take another break here. We'll have more, though. Continue to send me your thoughts, your game balls. Who are you handing a game ball to? We'll be back in just a little bit. Winter activities are here. Skiing, snowboarding, ice skating. Are you ready? Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine in Eau Claire is here to help you stay active and injury-free this season. From sports injuries to joint pain and arthritis, their experienced specialists provide personalized care and advanced treatments to get you back on the slopes or the ice quickly and safely. Don't let winter keep you on the sidelines. Schedule your appointment today by visiting cvosm.com. To the couple of you who said Watson can't sign a deal for the next 12 months, that's incorrect. Normally, yes, but because the Packers added void years on that thing, that is the key. Because there are void years on there, that allows the flexibility for Green Bay and for Christian Watson to sign an extension this upcoming offseason. So normally, yes, if there was no voidable years, if there was no voidable years on there, then yes, you have 12 months. But the void years, because they're on there, that allows for another extension to happen this offseason. So you can look it up if you don't believe me, but it is out there. So, and that's, I think, if he maybe kind of continues to play at this level and continues to put up numbers like that, maybe he gets to be able to get a new contract. Maybe a little bit of a bigger pay raise. I don't know. Or it's just, I think, hindsight's 2020 when it comes to Christian Watson and such, but how much, with his play that we have seen and some of, the big plays that he has been able to put out there, you just kind of wonder now that, did that contract just kind of help, he talked about it, alleviates some of that pressure, doesn't have to think about trying to play for a contract. He got the contract and, an extension and, doesn't have to play with that pressure trying to prove it and try to make some extra money. Is he playing a little bit more relaxed? Is he playing a little bit more confidence? I think it's clearly evident that he's doing that. I think it was a smart thing probably from both sides. Packers and Watson to get that deal done. Having a little bit of security, but takes that added extra pressure, not only just coming back from an ACL injury, but to go out there and play at the level he's been playing at right now. Yeah, I think it was smart on both sides. Just a really smart deal. But I think it's clearly evident, to go back to it, Christian Watson is the number one wide receiver for this team. And I think continue to go at it or look at it, I think he's going to get better and better and better going forward. I really do. I think he's going to get better going forward. As long as he can stay healthy. Sky's the limit. Trying to find some, I don't know if any of the grades are out yet. It doesn't really look like. I was just kind of curious from Pro Football Focus if there was any grades and such. Okay, there is one thing I do got to vent about here. I know it's not a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So I do got to vent about this. Special teams. Okay. Come on now. What do we do? It's like, just, you might as well play bingo on this thing every time we watch a Packers game. And kickoff return or a punt return, there's going to be a stupid penalty. Okay. What are we doing on this thing? What are we doing? I know, should be celebrating a win. And I am. But it's like, it's just become a normal, common thing at this point when it comes to special. There's always like a couple. A stupid holding or a stupid, and it's not even like on a return. Yet there's a holding or there's a block in the back. Every single time, I feel like. Every single game. It's like, why? Yeah, why do we always have to start at our own 10? We should be starting at the 30, but no, let's start at the 10. Bisaccia, come on. Got to figure that thing out. For crying out loud. Please. But I don't know. We're nitpicking a little bit on this Victory Monday here. Let's go through some more game balls here. We got a couple more for Christian Watson. We got a couple for Josh Jacobs. Actually got one for Matt LaFleur, as Kevin said a little bit earlier, for sticking it to Ben Johnson. We for defensive players, we've got a Nixon, we've got an Enoch Barre, we've got a Carl Brooks pick. We got an Edrin Cooper pick a couple times on there too. So yeah, if you want to give one to both the offense and defense, you can do so. That's kind of where I was looking for. My picks were Jacobs and JJ, Kings of Enoch Barre. Again, I would say just don't. As Packers fans, we have to keep this thing alive. That play that Enoch Barre had on that third down, huge. Okay? Don't let it be forgotten. Don't let it kind of get just cast to the wayside. I know we do our game changers tomorrow, but that and Josh Jacobs' 3rd and 1 pickup, game changer plays for me. That play by Enoch Barre was huge, especially considering Chicago having some success running the football up the middle, kind of wearing down that defense. For him to make that play was huge. Huge. And am I far off in saying maybe, is he the guy next year if Rashawn Gary moves on, if the Packers decide to trade Rashawn Gary or release him or whatever the case may be? Should Green Bay try to make it a point to keep 55 around for a little bit? I know you still got Lucas Van Ness, but man, I feel like he's been playing some really, really solid football. And I don't know if he's a starter in this league or if he's just a good rotational piece right now. But I would not be opposed if he came back to Green Bay next year. I don't know what his market's going to be like. He's probably going to be able to get a nice payday from somewhere else, I would imagine. But one can hope. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back next year. So, but yeah, money wise, I think that's what it's going to boil down to. Since we're talking about Christian Watson, Ryan Wood just had this out there. Since returning from ACL, Christian Watson has 25 catches, 452 yards, and 5 touchdowns in 7 games. That's a 17-game pace of 60 catches for 1,097 yards and 12 touchdowns. That type of numbers you expect to see from a wide receiver 1, which is exactly what Watson is for this Packers offense. Cosign. Totally agree. Another player that I thought had a sneaky solid game yesterday. He had a couple big hits. And it's a little surprised he was able to go considering he missed the last 2 practices. Javon Bullard. Okay, I'll admit it, at the beginning of the year, kind of what we saw from last year, I was like, I don't know about Javon Bullard. That dude's been having a good year. Apparently Tom Brady loves him some Javon Bullard too. But Bullard brings a physicality to this secondary. I mean, he has taken a nice second-year jump. Him and Evan Williams have taken nice second-year jumps in their play. But Javon Bullard, I had questions. I was maybe a little skeptical. I'm glad so far he's proven me wrong. And I'll admit it, I was wrong. But I thought he had a nice, sneaky, solid game again last night. that physicality he brings. Yeah, I mean, every game hasn't been great for him. I mean, I thought earlier in the season there was a couple games where, giving up quite a bit of yards and struggled there. But the physicality part of it, yeah, he's got it, and he brings it. And he's not the biggest guy either. He's under 6 feet, but he gets the job done. This team is better with Javon Bullard with 20 out there on that field making plays. I honestly feel like this team is maybe one legit number one corner away from just being lethal. Lethal. So, all right, let's take our final break for the third hour. We'll get back to some more of your thoughts and your analysis. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Best holiday ever is going on right now. Contests, ticket giveaways, prizes, all that good stuff. Just head to aroundthe715.com and click on the best holiday ever over there. Brought to you by our good friends Window World, Green Oasis Gardens, The District, REM Community Services, partnered with Savita Health, HG Megs, Northwestern Bank, EC Moving and Storage, SC Swiderski, TF Exteriors, Nicolay Bank in Eau Claire, and Lake Hallie. Yeah, we got, if you're a big concert goer, music concert goer, got a bunch of opportunities up there to win some tickets, some Harlem Globetrotter tickets. We've got decorative vets, gift cards, all that good stuff. Again, the website, aroundthe715.com. To answer Mark's question, do we know what started this feud between the coaches? At least it looks like a feud. Must have been something when Johnson was in Detroit. I mean, it stems from Ben Johnson's introductory presser when when he was hired by the Bears. I mean, we've all kind of seen it, right? I mean, I think I have a clip right here. In case you didn't, I guess, hear the part of the introductory presser, but this was the first part of it here. It's going to play for me or not here. So,
be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoyed beating Matt LaFleur twice a year.
So that started off everything, and I know Matt LaFleur was asked about it, and he said they don't really know each other, didn't really have a relationship and such. And then the game yesterday, who was the reporter? I'm just blanking on his name now, but he was covering the Bear side. And he said that, Ben Johnson said that because when he was going through his interview process with the Bears, the owner of the Bears made it a point to him to tell him, kind of send it home like how important this rivalry was, Packers and Bears. So he said that was kind of fresh on his mind when he was doing his introductory presser, which could be the case. I mean, we've seen other Bears people do this, right? Lovie Smith did it. He kind of just said the team overall, didn't specifically call it a coach. I will add a little bit more to this, though. I was watching Ben Johnson's presser yesterday, and even before the game, too. He would always talk about Jeff Hafley and sing the praises of Jeff Hafley. And he did it again last night and specifically mentioned Jeff Hafley. Not once did he mention Matt LaFleur after the game or before the game. Now I get it, though, too, because Ben Johnson is the offensive play caller. So, yes, he goes up against Jeff Hafley. Okay, I get that. I understand that. But, I mean, in his, giving of flowers to Jeff Hafley, I didn't see him one time, or I didn't hear him one time after the game. When he would talk about the offense, he would just kind of say it in generic terms, the offense, big plays. But when he give Matt LaFleur, any flowers in that. And then, of course, the icy handshake. I don't know why. Nobody asked Ben Johnson about the handshake afterwards. They asked Matt LaFleur about it afterwards, and he said pretty much he just kept it straightforward. He said, quick handshake. We'll see them again in a couple weeks. And, I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen Matt LaFleur do quick handshakes. He did to Kyle Shanahan one time. And this was after that offseason where there was those Rodgers rumors that the 49ers tried to call and maybe try to acquire Rodgers. And so there was some rumors that LaFleur was pissed at Shanahan for that. And remember, LaFleur was brought up in the Shanahan system in that. So I don't know. But they could downplay it as much as they want as coaches. But they're competitive SOBs too. Okay? They may not be playing on the field, but they're competitive SOBs too. And he won't admit it. At least publicly, he will not admit it. But Matt LaFleur wanted that game. That entire coaching staff and those players wanted that for their head coach. They wanted that. So to see that to see that. You know they were jacked up. I mean, we saw a little bit of it if you were watching a little bit of the post game and seeing some of the locker room stuff. I mean, they were hyped, and I know they released part of the locker room celebration when they did game balls and such, but there was probably some stuff that they couldn't air or didn't want out there either. So there is going to be a little bit more, that December 20th primetime game, Saturday night, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a big one. But I don't know if something happened in Detroit. I mean, but it's like, okay, again, Ben Johnson's not calling plays against Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur's not calling plays against Ben Johnson. So there really isn't anything to that. So I don't know. I don't know. And maybe it was, I tend to think it's trying to appease the fan base. I think that was probably the initial part of it. And I think it just kind of spiraled out of that from that. And I think, that comment as introductory presser, just trying to win over a fan base, trying to say the right things, that's what sparked the fire a little bit. And that's what created this, whether it's fake, whether it's real, whether it's out there, that little bit of a rivalry or animosity. So it probably wasn't on purpose, but now here we are. Scoreboard's all that matters right now, right? And right now, Matt LaFleur 1, Ben Johnson 0. But we'll see how it goes December 20th. And it's good. We don't want to be in the losing ends of these. But overall, it's good to have this rivalry be this intense again. It's good to have Packers-Bears not like each other like this. I mean, yeah, years past, we'd hear a player kind of call out somebody, but it was like, who was that, like, third team defensive lineman for the Bears or whoever it was, just talk crap about the Packers, and it's like, you're a third team. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. Now you got Micah Parsons jawing. You got the coaches jawing. It's good to have this rivalry to where it's at. You don't want to lose it because it sucks to lose it. And then you got to deal with the fan bases. You really do. But then when you win it, it's that sweeter. That's what rivalries are all about. So I'm glad. I'm glad right now. To me, in my updated power rankings, number one, it's Chicago. Minnesota's close. I get it. But Chicago right now, that's the team I really, 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 really want to beat more than anybody at this point. More than anybody. Man, I wish I was at that game last night. Guys, that environment. That environment just looked like it was off the hook. So I do think it's interesting, though, too, going back to the whole, Ben Johnson, when he said that, was brought up in his interview about the importance of that Packers and Bears rivalry. You go back to Lovie Smith and you go back to, some of the other comments of all these hires over the years, whether GM and coaches, and there's a common theme. It's like Green Bay's like living rent-free in Chicago. Like, I'd be curious. Let's say like when Matt LaFleur interviewed for the head coaching job, or Mike McCarthy. Was it ever brought up in their interviews, we got to beat Chicago and Minnesota? Like that's a main goal. Because it just feels like we hear this more out of any Chicago hire than anything. It's like Green Bay. That's our focus, Green Bay. Like it just feels like you're rent free. Like you're stuck in their heads. Like I'd be curious to know, like, was that ever brought up? I mean, I'm sure, division-wise, division as a whole, but like specifically calling out certain teams. It just, I don't know. I'd love to know that. All right. Final hour. We got Justice Cleveland. He's going to be joining us here. We'll get his thoughts on the game from last night, plus some local sports roundup. 3 in, 1 more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. All right. The final hour kicking off right now on this Victory Monday morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. However you're hanging out, if you're listening on the radio dials, online, at our website, on the app, video stream, all that good stuff. We got fresh from Green Bay just a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Feels like less.
Santa was doing a test run.
There you go.
Gave me a ride from Lambeau back here.
Well, we appreciate you hopping out. Wasn't sure if you were going to be able to when I saw you were in Green Bay. So, but nonetheless, not a bad game to go and cover.
No, not at all. I mean, a pivotal game. Be another one in 2 weeks. But, I mean, this one was what it lived up to, what you were expecting for a not only just a battle for first place, but the NFC rivalry that is the Packers and Bears. And, yeah, it was one of the, I think, a good chapter in that storied rivalry.
So I got to ask you, since you were there, it seemed like it on television. Was that stadium energized?
Yes.
It sounded like it on TV, but sometimes that could be misleading. I mean, but it seemed like the fans were in it from the first defensive snap to begin that game.
That was one of the most energized, stadiums I've been around for a Packers game in quite a while.
Wow,
I think it was really everybody understood the assignment. You know what I mean? They knew what was going on, what was up for grabs in this game. I think they were kind of maybe waiting for this Packer-Bears rivalry to have another chapter like this because it's been such a long time before a meaningful game like this had been played between the two. And I think they lived up to that. I think I give a lot of credit to Bill Jartz up there, and he pumps up that. It used to be just straight up. You'd say first down. Now he's he's interjecting his personality. He's retired now, so I think now that he's up there doing the PA, they've tasked him with getting that crowd pumped. He does a great job with it. They've overall done a whole bunch of work to get that crowd more enacted in the games. And we've talked about how sometimes you go to a Packer game and it's kind of quiet.
Yeah.
People are kind of a lot of people have been doing this forever and they're stuck in their way. There's always those stories of people bringing newspapers and reading the newspaper while they're watching it. There was no one reading newspapers in this game. It was as ruckus. And then as I was leaving, going down to go to the press conference and locker room, you could hear the crowd going, the Bears still, can I say so?
Oh, yeah.
Bears still suck.
Yep.
I suppose you can play the song on the radio. You can, But, yeah, I mean, the crowd was just chanting. It was like a playoff atmosphere, and it was really fun to see.
What was the in the locker room afterwards and such? Obviously, with the rivalry, we know about with the coaches and such. But I mean, was that vibe kind of like they from the players' aspects too? Like they know this rivalry, like they could kind of feel it too. Was that kind of the vibe that you got a little bit?
I almost feel like there was more of we're not done with business vibe. Like
That's
we
even
still,
better. I love hearing that.
And I think that was Matt LaFleur because they asked Michael Parsons what he said after the game, and he's like, "Remain humble. Just know that you got another 2 weeks. You're facing this team again, and it's just going to be just as important as it was this week." So I think this, I think I like that. I like them remaining hungry, and they all know there's more to be had out there. I think that second half, the way that they could have easily lost that game, or at least went into overtime. Yeah, I think that really jazzed up that, especially that defense, which takes a lot of pride. Yeah, of trying to keep teams really low. In the score. So I think we're going to see another war there at Soldier Field coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, I was hoping, I think everybody was kind of anxious to see how that handshake was going to go at the end, and it was an icy cold one. Yeah, and I think that's okay. I was okay with it. It wasn't like a attitude handshake. It was just
very
like
Tom Crean-esque whenever the blow-by handshakes he would used to do in college basketball.
And if you're Ben Johnson, I think you have to expect that. Yeah. You're the one who kind of opened up the hornet's nest. Yep. And kind of called out LaFleur. Not just the Packers, but you called out LaFleur. Right, yeah. Like you're calling out a coach before the season even starts. Yep. You got to imagine he's going to come into it a little icy cold when they did that, literally and figuratively. But, yeah, I don't know. That to me was just, that's good. Yep. That's what we want to see with this. Right. It wasn't like a contentious one. No. It wasn't like a dragging of the hand or anything like that. Right. So it wasn't the Jim Schwartz Harbaugh one. Remember that? That's exactly what I think. Like the first person that came to my head was Jim Schwartz. Even Harbaugh, obviously, he had his moments too. But Schwartz was the guy who wore his emotions so much on his sleeves when he was the head coach that, that was just hey, we're going to see you in 2 weeks. Yep. We'll do it again. Yep. Exactly. So I don't know, but even before the game and then after last night, I was watching Johnson's presser. I mean,
before he was giving Jeff Hafley flowers. Afterwards, he was giving Jeff Hafley flowers. Never mentioned Matt LaFleur. And I get it. Ben Johnson's an offensive play caller going up against Hafley and that. But it still strikes me a little bit odd that, he would constantly mention Jeff Hafley, but not, offensively, he would just kind of say, yep, they had some big plays, just kept it very generic.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a little bit of rivalry. I don't, how much of it is actually, you never know. Like,
that's the thing is, like, they never called plays against each other when they were, like, when Ben was in Detroit and such. So, and I think LaFleur even said it in the offseason, they never really had any interaction before.
Right.
So I think it was. And Tom Rinaldi was the guy, the Bears sideline. He said, asked Ben Johnson about it. He said, it was brought up in my interview with the owner, like the importance of this rivalry. So it was kind of mentioned, fresh on his mind, which I'm sure that was the case, but it spiraled out.
I'm sure it's the case it was the same thing with Lovie Smith.
Right, exactly.
I think that's something that is the McCaskies.
Yep.
I think that's something that they value, that rivalry, and they know how much it means to their fan base to beat Green Bay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm sure it's brought up every time, and asking if you know how storied this rivalry is.
Right.
And when and I think it's just a you rah thing. As soon as you get hired, you say that because you want that gets the fans on your side.
Right.
By the way, it did with Lovey.
Yep.
And I think Ben Johnson, both of them have success too.
Right.
It helps when you win games. You can't call them out and then just don't
win
games. When you're winning games and having success, it makes a big difference. So I think this team with Ben Johnson, it's a tough. To watch the Bears in that second half, that I felt it was a snowball rolling downhill.
Yeah,
like it just looked like they had all the momentum, and I know how much time we got here, but I want to with the Ben Johnson that last call, I almost think he outcoached himself.
Got too cute.
Yeah, they were. You just need a yard?
A yard
for a first down.
Yep.
The Packers hadn't stopped the run for even like they were getting 4 or 5 yards a chunk.
Yep.
Every run.
Yep.
I think he just thought, let's go for the dagger and go for the touchdown. Tie. It would have tied. It wouldn't have been the dagger, but you know what I mean?
I think he would have went for 2.
Yeah. I just think he was thinking, okay, this is my chance to catch him by surprise. But I will say this. Caleb Williams that was the only real big mistake he made all day. Mm-hmm. But on most of their design passes, they weren't having a whole lot of success. A lot of his success came when he was improvising.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest plays came when he was improvising, when he was rolling out, finding it. And he made some amazing throws. I'll give him a ton of credit for that. But the Packers defended their design pass plays very, very well the whole game. And if that was your only option, I don't think that was his first option, but that was, I think they just outcoached himself.
Right.
I think you just go push forward. You have another timeout.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why you try that play in that situation.
Especially since it was, and he acknowledged afterwards, he said it was similar. I think it was almost exact same play as they did against Philly last week.
Right.
So it was already on film.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and also 100% credit to Keyshawn Nixon for recognizing the tight end rolling out and rushing from the other side of the field to
Well, and that's
what
a lot of people said DJ Moore was open, but Dixon was on him and then left that guy because he recognized it.
Right.
So, I mean, it's easy to look now he's open, but that's the credit to Nixon for recognizing what the play was.
And that's almost, I mean, on a play like that where you see the quarterback fake the handoff and roll, that tight end's going to roll with him almost 100% of the time there.
Yep.
And, you had to have been told in the huddle for the defense, like, you see one of those tight ends break off and not block, you got to get to him.
Yep.
And that's what they did. And there really didn't seem like there was another option. Unless there was a couple times where Williams looked like he could have ran and would choose to throw. Now, I mean, a lot of people would be like, well, that's what we try to tell quarterbacks. Don't run all the time, throw it. But I think there was a couple times in that game where he could have got a first down, and he chose to try to make a pass play on it. Now, some of them were successful, obviously, but so I think Ben Johnson kind of coached himself there because they were a snowball rolling downhill with that running game.
Yeah.
The middle of the Packers defense could not stop them. Obviously, with the injuries that have come, we saw that.
Yeah.
And they were, it was just pound that second half.
Yeah.
I mean, the time of possession, the Packers dominated it in the first half.
Yeah.
By the second half, the Bears, it was like 10 minutes. They had more possession than the Packers. So,
well, what was it like the first half? At one point, the Packers had more first downs than the Bears had for yards.
Yeah. I mean, Caleb Williams was 0 for his first 6, I think it was, or something like that. So, I mean, there was a chance for the Packers. I thought at the end of the second quarter, honestly, that they had established themselves in control of that game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I give the credit to the Bears. They came out in that second half. Packers didn't do anything on that drive, for their first drive.
Mm-hmm.
Bears come out and capitalize, and then all of a sudden, it's a contest. So
Yep.
It was a fun game to watch. It was a good battle, back and forth, going down to the last offensive play. It's everything you wanted in a Packer-Bears game.
That's the thing, too. It's like, I was kind of mentioning earlier, it's good to have this. You don't want to be in the losing end if you're a fan, obviously, but the intensity, right? I mean, I was into it last night more than I think I can't remember last time Bears-Packers that I was like that. Like, okay, I'll want this one.
Yeah.
Because we knew it was at stake, and you have two very good teams. I think it's okay to acknowledge, Bears, say what you want about who they beat earlier on. I think we could say they're a good team, right?
Yeah, they hang around, too. They find a way to stay in games, and that's key.
Mm-hmm.
And the first couple games of the season, it looked bad.
Yeah.
But, they've found a way. And that's what the Vikings were last year.
Right.
And a couple of years ago, too. They find a way to hang around and win games late, and that's just one of them that they actually were able to pull out. So, yeah, I credit a lot of credit to that Bears. I mean, watching the play calling design by Ben Johnson, it's fun to watch. Both him and LaFleur. It was like some of the different gadgets in the backfield they come up with.
Yep.
And that was a good chess battle. I can say this, too, as we keep, overanalyzing this game, if not, but it's
a Victory Monday.
It's a Victory Monday, yeah. How key that Josh Jacobs touchdown drive was. Not just obviously it gives you the lead.
Right.
But you gave that defense a much-needed breather. They were on the field a ton in that second half, and you could just see the exhaustion. That's the tough thing. Like catching your breath when it's 10 degrees out.
Yeah.
Not easy to do. Like these guys you could tell it was taking a toll on them, but to get that 10, 15 minutes to regroup and then come back out there for what was the pivotal drive of the game against the Bears there and have enough in the tank to get the stop. That just shows you, it's complimentary football. We've been talking about that all year, and that was key right there at the end of the game.
It was. Man, there's a lot to go through this. I mean, you mentioned that Jaden Reed, him coming back, I think is going to be crucial for this offense.
You saw him first pass play of the game.
Yeah.
Go to Jaden. It's like, okay, he's back involved in this offense.
Like, to me, he is the Tucker Kraft replacement because of the the yards after the catch, over the middle of the field type of thing. That's where I think is the Tucker Kraft replacement. But then, you look at the snap breakdown, almost as even as you can get with those three tight ends. They were using all three of them throughout the game. I think, Fitzpatrick had 57, but everybody else was over 40% of the snaps in that game too.
And if Musgraves would have been able to pull that pass
now, was that a catch? Was there enough to overturn the call?
That's what I was questioning. I think as soon as it hit the ground, like you could see it drag on the ground, they were going to just call it a. I mean, after the touchdown in the Ravens games was I think we're back to like we don't know what a catch is. I don't know what a catch is.
Like, here's my issue with that. If a quarterback can jump over the pile and knows that ball instantly crosses the line, somebody punches out, it's a touchdown.
Once you have possession, it should be
2 feet down. It should be a touchdown.
I mean, you could make the case the touchdown the Packers had last week against the Lions. Would that have been? Did he make a football move after?
Right. Oh, the Wicks one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's to me is just like I don't know.
Why are we making this more difficult?
Right.
That's my why are we doing this?
I couldn't believe when I saw the Ravens lost that game. I was looking at the score, then came back and I'm like, they were at the 5-yard line and couldn't find a way to score.
Because that play, I'm like, wait a minute. Remember the Packers-Steelers game? There was a play similar to that.
Yeah.
The Steelers receiver caught it. Then Valentine knocked it out. Granted, he had like 4 or 5 steps compared to 2, but still, it's like if it's 2 feet down in the field of play, why can't it just be that way in the end zone?
Because if you catch it on the sideline and tap your toes, and you have possession, they're going to call it a touchdown.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of the field, tap your toes, show possession, but don't make a football move. Now, I'll give Gene Steratore did a good job of explaining why they didn't call it a catch. I just don't know if somebody I saw somewhere is like it's like from week to week.
Yeah,
and it's still that way. And I thought we had kind of figured this out because we haven't had too many of these controversies until this last week, where I feel like now we have Musgrave. I think it. I thought there was if you had possession, even if it hit the ground, as long as you
they always say the ball can hit the ground,
right? As long as you're maintaining the position. I didn't really see the ball move because we're watching the one in the stadium's giving us the what they're seeing. But I could tell you could tell because they started moving them back.
Yeah.
They were still in the commercial, so they started moving the offense. But it's like, yeah, I didn't get that one. But they came back and still ended up. They scored a touchdown on that drive, didn't they? Was that the one?
No, that was
the. Then they got the 15-yard sack.
Yep.
Yeah, it was funny because it was like both teams had those challenges.
Yep.
Come back, move the ball back, and then they both ended up taking penalties and just blowing up those drives, and that's why that first quarter was
right.
The first quarter flew by for the first 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes took, I feel like, 45 minutes because of the two challenges and just everything. But then the second, it was slow going, but man, once that game ramped up, it got exciting.
Yeah. I mean, the Evan Williams 1-2. I mean, was it a pick? Was it? Regardless, it was probably going to be, I thought, like an interception or incomplete pass probably at that point. So, but I mean, the other part too, I love, since you were there, because I was following along a little bit. Micah Parsons, though, I mean, I think there was the one play everybody's like, that's a hold, and there wasn't called. I saw some people saying the Jumbotron was slow mowing that play.
Oh yeah, and he was, and you can see. I don't know if you saw my Twitter. I had the picture of Matt LaFleur.
Oh yeah,
that's him pointing at the Jumbotron, showing those guys because it's right around his head.
Yeah,
and that's the one like everybody was talking to Parsons about it in the locker room afterwards, and he's angry.
Yeah,
because he knows he's smaller and he gets bigger guys get away with that against him, like wrapping him up high and holding him.
Yeah.
So and he didn't even. I mean, how many calls has he got this year?
Right. 1
or 2, maybe at the most. So, and LaFleur, LaFleur's more and more just wears his emotions.
Yeah, because he even said after the game, he's like, I don't know what a holding is anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, he might get a little fine, I think, this week. But
I think the NFL's got some explaining to do officiating-wise this week. Come out and explain why. Because they kind of did that. They used to do that where they would explain their calls.
Yep.
I'd love to see them do that again.
Yep.
Don't just blindly say, well, no. They're very protective of the officials. So
yeah,
but yeah, I'd like to see some explanations on these, why this isn't called and why this is. So.
Right. Yep. All right, let's take a quick break here. We'll have more with Justice Cleveland, sports director extraordinaire, coming up after this quick break. Continuing our talk with Mr. Justice Cleveland, fresh off of returning from Green Bay. We were talking a little bit during the break here too about some of Jordan Love's throws, the teardrop throws. Like you said, it's different, obviously completely different than what we saw from Favre, what we saw from Rodgers and such. I mean, the Bo Melton one, but then there was that one from Jaden Reed where he just like crossed the field almost against the grain too, just teardrops them in.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing it in person and such.
The amount of air that he gets under those passes and just how precise they are. And it gives those receivers a chance to fight for it. I think that's the big thing. It's not there's one spot where they can catch it. It's one spot, but they can also adjust to it.
Yeah.
I was talking like the Romeo Doubs one that he didn't get, but he gave him a chance to try to come back and fight for it. And you're going to draw more penalties that way.
That's true.
If you have to fight, come back a little bit. You get those DBs in a bad position there. Mm-hmm. But I was, overall just, you have Reed come back, pivotal part of the offense. And what can you say about Christian Watson at this point?
He's wide receiver 1, right?
I think so, but I don't think that team thinks that way. Mm-hmm. Those receivers, I think like a Romeo, I think it was 2 targets probably the whole game.
Yeah, no catches.
No catches, but I think he was one of those guys is probably going to have to be the decoy.
Yep.
And I think he was kind of taking that role this game, but who knows, the next game, he could be the guy that's out there, because he has been very clutch this whole year. But back to Christian Watson. When he got that second touchdown, and they said that he got up to 21 miles per hour, I honestly don't think he even kicked it into high gear.
It looked effortless.
Yeah, that was exactly. I'm watching this like, oh, he's going to pull away. And he started pulling away, but you're like, he's not even, like, it doesn't look like he's pumping. And he's like, and I asked him after the game, he's like, have you ever gotten past? And he's like, yeah, I've been at 22. And he's like, I want to get back to 22 miles per hour. And I'm like, he's like, I wasn't quite warmed up as much as I would, which I can understand. Yeah, you forget that it's also like 7 degrees out on the field. So ask anybody to try to sprint as fast as they can in 7-degree weather.
Yep.
It's not probably going to happen, but yeah, he just looks like the complete package now. Mm-hmm. It reminds me a lot of Devontae. We talked about this last week, like the progression he's making now, and to the point where you hit him on that little pass play over the middle, and it's like, oh, good luck catching him. That was the thing. Like as soon as you saw him catch that ball, it's like
he's gone.
Yeah. There's not many people in the league that can catch Christian Watson.
No.
And for those two, those 2 defensive backs probably thought, oh, he's got it. We can get to him. They were never. There was never in doubt that in my mind once he turned a little bit, he was gone. So you've got that going on. I mean, Jordan Love again. We haven't just talking overall. You made the one boneheaded throw that I'm sure. We were talking off air. It's like I think he probably mid throw thought, oh no.
Yeah.
But it was too late. So you had that. But after that, the throws were great. The decision-making, I thought, was great. Credit to Josh Jacobs, who grinded out yards. And, again, this line's not where they want it to be.
Right.
But those grind-out yards he got, especially in that last drive.
That
for the
3rd and
score.
1 where, like I mentioned a couple times, I said a word out loud that I can't say because it looked like he was going to get stuffed.
Yeah.
Somehow he got through for 21 yards.
Right. He just squirts out of it. And that's, again, him rarely does first contact knock him back.
Yep.
So all around, it's a really good team win.
Yep.
And now you just got to take that same mentality into Denver because you're going to be facing another tough team in altitude.
Yep. And I know people aren't like, some people are like, okay, is Denver really that good? They're 11-2, and they got a good defense.
Right. Is anybody really that good this year? That's the question. Like, no team to me is that. They might have the records.
Yeah.
You go with the Patriots and Broncos, obviously, with their big records, but
is there a team that scares you?
There's no team that's unbeatable this year. We've seen that the whole season.
Right.
So I'm not scared. I think Packers can match up with any team. And I think they will with Denver, and I think it's going to be an interesting battle. Denver's defense, Packers defense, Bo Nix, Jordan Love. I mean, that's a pretty big game at this point in the season to have. And let's hope maybe a potential Super Bowl matchup.
Oh, a 32 rematch, huh? Super Bowl 32 rematch. I don't know.
The one that got away.
Yep. But no, it's, you talk about Jordan Love and that too. I'll even go to that 3rd down play when they got the go-ahead touchdown. They're in shotgun formation, and he's canning it again. You mean, can, calling it. And obviously there's a lot of people that don't like running out of a shotgun formation and such. But, Brady noted it a lot during the game, talking about, okay, Jordan Love's really paying attention to where those safeties are, how deep they are, and that's where he's deciding whether they can run and attack in that. But you see that, and you see that not every, third and goal and you run it. It sure seems like maybe he's getting more comfortable. Love is getting more comfortable at recognizing what the defense is presenting and making those adjustments at the line of scrimmage too.
I think he's an incredible, intelligent quarterback that can. You're like you said, you're seeing it a lot more when he goes up to that line. He's got control and he's calm.
Yeah,
you never really see like a sense of rushing, even when the clock's ticking down. He walks up there, he recognizes and goes, and I think it's half the thing with like those fadeaway passes. It almost just looks like he's out there just playing on the
playing
field.
basketball.
Yeah, he's just playing out on the playground with his friends and just like tossing them up for him. So I think his demeanor is huge in that team and just keeps him. It's like they used to call Joe Montana Joe Cool because he came into the huddle and was always just even keel.
Hey, is that John Candy?
Yeah, exactly. I think Jordan Love's just kind of like that. He's just like walks in there. The guys know what he's focused on the job. He's going to get too high, he's going to get too low, and just gets it done on the field.
Yeah, and, leaders don't lead all the same way, right? Some respond to the vocal and yelling and whatever. Some respond or some lead different ways. You can lead different ways. And kind of like what you were saying, I think it's pretty evident that this offense, this team responds to that type of leadership.
Yeah, I think those guys to a T love Jordan Love.
Yeah,
sounds weird. I could have said it better, but like they admire what he does out there, and you never hear a bad word said.
No.
Not on both sides of the ball. The defense.
Rashawn Gary always talks about Jordan Love.
Yeah,
like just that pure, love for. I can't think of another word. Admiration. There you go. So,
and we didn't touch on it, but Keyshawn Nixon coming up with that interception. It was funny to hear the guys like, "Oh, it's about time he catches one," but. Man, oh man, Keyshawn was fired up in
I can imagine
post game. There was if anybody who got him, there's probably about 50% of that stuff you're not going to be able to use. It was a spicy locker room in that regard. These guys were having a lot of fun, but there was a lot of spicy language being thrown around by all these guys. But I think it was one of those like after you just an exhale after such a grueling game, especially that defense in that second half being on the field as much as they were, and to be able to get that play, especially for Keyshawn, who's been kind of much maligned, got the penalty early in the game. That
two of them on the one same drive. So
so it's like he had those, but came up clutch when they needed to. I think that defense again, for the amount of they were on the field, did all they could do and kept them, kept the vice at least tight enough to get the victory there.
Yep, I agree. All right, we got to take another quick break here, but we got a whole lot more with Justice Cleveland coming up after these quick words. Switching gears just for a quick second here because, well, let's give some shout-outs. We got some college hoops. Badger basketball men's team picking up a win over Marquette. But how about the women's team with a big victory over previously undefeated and 20th-ranked Michigan State yesterday? So
that team's improving a lot. You know, they had struggled. They lost, I think, back-to-back games.
Yep.
But come back to get a win over Michigan State, which would have been, I feel like, unheard of.
Right.
A couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Last year. I mean, new coaches come in and kind of revitalize that. I mean, you've Addie Shepley going there next year, and it's fun because I think it's getting eyes back on that program.
Exactly.
For a program, I would say after Lisa Stone left, really hasn't done a whole lot since then.
And this is not a knock on the program itself, but it's been UW Green Bay women's basketball as the premier college D1.
Yeah, and Marquette's had some runs as well.
UW Milwaukee was a hot for a minute there too for a little bit. So yeah, but good to see Wisconsin hopefully turning that page.
Right, exactly. I mean, who knows what they exactly do this year, but that's a big win. That's a big stepping stone right there.
Yep. So college football wise, we know the top 12, the college football playoff.
And somehow there's still controversy? What?
Weird. So
when do they expand again? Is it next year?
Is it next?
I've lost track of.
The thing is, if they expand it, it's just going to be they're going to complain about the first two that didn't get in after they expand it. It's just it's a cycle.
Always gonna
it's going to be
how it's going to be. I mean, that's how it happens in the NCAA tournament. Like those two, the three teams that are left out.
Yep. There's
always a gripe about it. So it's never gonna be a perfect system.
Do you like the fact, though, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but, okay, do you like the fact that teams like James Madison and Tulane are in it, and not a Notre Dame? Take away what Notre Dame's doing off the table, but just from a talent. Like, if Notre Dame was to play James Madison, who are you going to pick to win?
Right.
You're probably going to pick Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So do you like that they incorporate these teams, or should it just be, 12 best? Just give me the 12 best.
I'd like there being a wild card in there.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, I think you have to expand it.
Right.
Like you go to 16.
Yeah.
That's the natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
I just go to 16. I guess 14. I know because you want to give people buys and all that stuff. So figure that stuff out. But you can expand it more than 12, which I think they are. If I'm not, I can't keep track of everything in college football with because that's been changing pretty much. It feels like every year. Mm-hmm. The expansion and talking about how the process is going to change and all that stuff. So. There's money to be had, and I think we're already starting to see the collapse of the bowl system.
Yeah,
when with teams, the amount of teams that are declining to play in bowls because the amount of money that's out there.
Well, and then you got players who are opting not to play, like star players.
Right.
So it's like there's a weird if your team's not in the college football playoff, and let's say Notre Dame, for example, let's just use them because they're saying we're not going to play in any. If they have NFL draft prospects on there and they're not in the college football playoff, they're probably not going to play in whatever bowl game they were going to go to.
They're making their money.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any, it's not, I don't know how the getting that money gets it, but I think they're paid that money. Are they paid if they go to a bowl game? Is there, is there bonus? I don't know how these contracts for a college player work at this point.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, you've got the Big 12, which fined Iowa State and Kansas State for saying no to their bowl invites because, they're going through new head coaches and such. So they said, we're not going to go to a bowl. So the conference fined them $500,000 each for not going.
Right. Because there's money to be had.
Yeah.
And you get paid for. So it's college football is just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I try to just look at it from the value of the game on the field, but it's so hard right now. I would put myself at best now as a casual college football fan.
Right.
And to me, it just doesn't bring me – I don't get a whole lot of interest in watching these games anymore.
Yeah.
Just because guys aren't – and I sound like an old head here because it's like, oh, guys aren't staying with teams and stuff. That's pro sports has been like that forever, so it's not like it – it's just – there was a little bit of a purity and a different vibe to college football than there was obviously pro football.
Right.
There doesn't seem like that divide has fallen.
Yep.
It's very small now, the difference between these two types of football.
And I'll be honest, I don't know the full-on thing, but this also popped up yesterday from the Notre Dame thing. And this was from, was it Yahoo Sports, I believe? So in an interesting wrinkle, This was from Yahoo Sports. An interesting wrinkle as part of a memorandum of understanding signed by college football playoff officials last spring, Notre Dame will be assured of making the playoff if it is ranked in the top 12 starting next year. So is Notre Dame the only one that has that?
I suppose since they're not in a conference.
Right. But I'm like, so like, as I say, for instance, if this year's circumstances unfold next year, the final at-large team, Miami, would have gotten automatically bumped from the field for number 11, Notre Dame.
And I can understand Notre Dame being ranked where they were the last week, not doing anything, and then getting bumped out of the field.
Right.
And I don't know if that's you blame Indiana for that. I mean, I don't know who you end up blaming for that situation, but here's what we're headed for. We're headed for those big power conferences breaking away, forming their own thing, and then we're going to basically have 4 divisions of college football.
Yep.
We're going to have the big D1, the middle D1, the smaller D1, D2, and D3.
Yeah.
Like that's where we're headed, because those guys are going to see the money that's going to be made for them to break away and form their own. We're going to have a fight. We're going to have a division, and it's going to I don't see there being a quick solution to the problems that are in college football right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So when that thing came out yesterday, I was like, okay. So, and I think I saw some other people like saying, wait, does Notre Dame the only one that has this then?
Right.
Where it's like, that's kind of a weird.
That's no incentive for them to go in a conference.
Right.
And there really hasn't been ever, because they got their money off of their television deal. I don't know if they still make that much money off of that, but they must, because they don't.
Right. And
then, if you have this where you're going to be in, if you're ranked in the top 12.
That you're automatically going to be in. It's like, okay, wow, all right.
Yeah. So Which,
again, I kind of hope that happens next year, because then you're just going to have
whoever
stuff
that
hit the
team's
roof.
left.
And
Did you find if they're expanding, or am I just dreaming?
I thought I saw 14.
Okay.
Okay, so this one says here, should the 16 team format become the law of the land, Notre Dame won't have that particular option. However, Notre Dame will have a seat at the table in the expansion talks, and they'll find a way to get something similar agreed to for whatever format is accepted for the 2026 college football playoff. So I don't think it's
not written in stone yet. So we're just which is crazy that for the next season you don't even know how you're going to decide your national champion.
I've always said this. I'm not one to root for teams within your division or your conference, but I'm all about Indiana right now.
Oh, it's so fun to watch, and just to see the raw emotion from the players after the game. Like
Kurt Cignetti right now is the best coach in all the lands. What he has done in 2 years at Indiana is unbelievable.
There was, Antoine Randall. Think of your Indiana Hoosier football players, but there was not a whole lot behind that in the cupboard. And for him to come in and just change
instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's possible. When's the last time we've had a team kind of make that run to make this much noise, especially this quickly? I don't know if it's been done in the modern age of.
Well, and I think, even after last year, it's like, okay, a 1 year kind of fluke thing.
Right.
We've seen that before.
Like Northwestern's had their years and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's where like, okay. And then the next year they come back to earth.
Yep. And I think everybody thought that was going to be Indiana again this year. And nope.
No. They've if anything, have gotten better and keep obviously have gotten better. And just to do what they did in the Big Ten championship, and now, I mean, I think they've got a lot of people in the country cheering them on, especially I think in the Big Ten fans.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just that I can get on board with that one.
Yeah.
And until they win one and then Wisconsin doesn't have anything. But I think that's the goal. It's like, I think for, to put it back to a Wisconsin thing, I think that's where you've got Badgers fans looking at Indiana and saying, why can Indiana do this and not us?
Right.
Because that's a basketball school. One is Mark Cuban, flooding in a lot of money. So that does help. Let's be real. But at the same time, you look at that football program and you're like, why can't Wisconsin do that? I think that's what a lot of fans are asking.
And well, that's going to be the pressure next year of finding your way to get at least closer to the top. I was saying this, though, the true national championship will be decided at Lambeau Field next year when the Badgers and Notre Dame face off to start the season.
That's true. That's true. Also, by the way, too, this was late last week, but might as well mention it too because Pittsburgh and Wisconsin will not be happening next year.
Right. What was the full explanation on that? I just saw it.
But they're still going to do the Ireland one, or is it Ireland? In 2 years.
Okay.
They're still doing that one, but this one they're not doing. So
how does that happen? Like a year out too?
I don't know.
Again, college football. Figure it out, guys.
Yeah, right.
We got to get something going on here.
I agree. All right, let's take our final break, and then we'll start to wrap it up here so we can let Justice get out of here, maybe catch up on some sleep. He's been working nonstop. Just a few hours of rest. No rest for the weary.
Yeah, exactly.
We were thinking the same thing here, man. So, all right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to wrap up things coming up after these quick words. So really quick before we get to our picks to wrap it up, again, the current playoff picture in the NFL is kind of nuts.
It is.
Kansas City loses again last night. It sure looks like they're not making the postseason. Detroit is still on the outside looking in. Buffalo was very, very close to losing yesterday, which would have made – and then they got the Patriots in New England coming up this next weekend. So, I mean, whew. And then, think about that. If Buffalo would have lost yesterday, the top 3 teams in the AFC might not be in the postseason at that point, which would have been Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo. When I say top 3, the top 3 heavily picked at the beginning of the season for the AFC. And right now, 2 out of the 3 are not in it, and Buffalo's probably not going to win their division. So
it's been a quick changing of the guard.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody went into the season thinking that Denver and the Patriots would be at this point at 11-2.
No, is it like 2012 again or something like this?
And then Jacksonville at 9-4. That's the sneakiest, maybe 9-4 in the league.
Yep.
Sneakiest team, period, because they've played some pretty ugly games.
Right.
But they're winning.
Yeah.
And then it's the fact that Buffalo's still got to hold on to make it, and then the Chargers are right there, and then Houston, that was a big win. Indianapolis looks like they're just falling. The bottom's just falling out for them, especially with Jones getting injured yesterday.
Yeah, and then go back to Buffalo here quick. So New England, week 16, they got the Eagles. So and then week 17, week 17 they've got the Eagles. Where's week 16 here for Buffalo? I'm just kind of scrolling through here. Why can't I find Buffalo in week 16? What am I? Oh, Browns. Okay. And then
a team that showed some life yesterday too.
Yeah. Yep. Hopefully they can give Chicago a little bit of something this coming weekend. And then you look at Tampa Bay and Carolina now. All of a sudden, that's a race for the division. They're both tied. That was a bad loss by Tampa yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we see that those first 4 or 5 games in the season, you can really. Some of these teams are built for that early run and then the late run. I think that's why with the Packers have kind of been consistent.
Yeah.
They had a little lull in the middle of the season, but it hasn't been like they were really, really high and then now they're low. And they're maintaining the roller coaster. Yep. Whereas Tampa Bay, I mean, Baker was being thrown out as an MVP. Mm-hmm. And now that team's, again, that's not all his fault.
Right. But
it's just, so they got to fight to get in the playoffs. And now that final playoff spot, right now, Chicago has it.
Yeah, they go from 1 to 7. That's unbelievable.
And Detroit's a game back.
Yep.
So you got Detroit and Carolina's battling for their division. So and I think Dallas is really the last team with an outside shot.
Yeah.
Vikings would be the 11th seed, but at 5 and 8. Mm-hmm. I don't see any of those teams going to 8. It would take a big miracle for any of those teams to go to the 8 losses for them to even be in.
I would imagine Detroit was probably a Packers fan yesterday and probably will continue to be a Packers fan here in a couple of weeks because, they were swept by Green Bay, so they beat Chicago already, and they got Chicago one more time. So
I mean, we got to look back at that again with Detroit right now on the outside looking in, Kansas City on the outside looking in, Baltimore. I mean, these are teams that were last season.
Yeah.
We're talked about being, even earlier this season, we're like, are these teams potential Super Bowl teams? Always with Kansas City because every year
right.
they're there basically. But yeah, I mean, it is crazy just how quickly the parity in this league catches up to these teams. And
right.
Now you're looking at potential of some big name players not in the post, especially the Chiefs. I mean, is it a full?
Be the first time Patrick Mahomes won't be in the playoffs.
And they got to rebuild.
Maybe
the amount of talent there, if you're
Kelsey's probably retiring now.
I think. Well, he took a hit.
Yeah.
In that game, I think it's.
Yeah.
It's going to be Mahomes. Mahomes is probably got 10 years left. So I'm not saying he'll be there, but I think it's going to be we got to rebuild around him.
Yeah.
The defense is getting, Chris Jones isn't getting any younger as well. So it's an amazing run, but I think we're seeing it time to retool, which they could do in 2 seasons. They could do it in 1 season. You never know how it works in the NFL, but it's weird when you see the kind of end of these dynasties.
It is, but Andy Reid, I still trust him.
And Andy Reid,
he's getting up there though too.
Right.
So.
What else does he have to prove?
Yeah. Maybe racking up those wins on the all-time wins list.
Right. I think we'll see. I mean, it could be an interesting offseason in Kansas City for sure.
Not to, because we got to get to picks here, but since we're kind of going, I know we got, is it Tim that loves it when we go back and talk about old stuff and history stuff? Very quietly, Devontae Adams, I think, is going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer right now.
Oh yeah, we went through like the numbers.
Okay,
yeah, last year
was that last week?
Yeah,
well,
we were just like, he's there.
Yeah,
I think he could retire this season, and he's in.
If there is one team in the NFC that does worry me, it is the Rams.
Right.
Because they're off, and they have a solid defense.
And they're kind of quiet.
Yeah.
You really, they've been good this year, but you haven't, this is crazy because they play in Los Angeles. You feel like you would hear more about how good they are, but you really haven't heard, and I think it's just because a lot of these teams everybody's like, are they legit? Mm-hmm. And this season's been tough to know, like, what teams are really that good, but I think that Rams team, obviously, they're not that far removed from being in a Super Bowl.
Stafford's probably the MVP leader. If you look at the odds makers out there, he's the leader.
What a man who's rewritten his kind of legacy in the second half of his career. That trip to L.A. has completely He's going to be a Hall of Famer, too. Yep. I think he is now at this point.
Yep. All right, let's do some picks here to kind of wrap it up. Before we do the Monday night game, I want to do we have any NBA games on the –
While you're looking, I'm going to rant quick. It's like, why aren't teams talking about Patrick Mahomes wanting out and being traded somewhere because his team's not going to the playoffs?
You talk about Giannis?
Yeah, it's like, why isn't Patrick Mahomes demanding a trade? Or
I don't know what to believe with that whole thing anymore, dude. I don't.
No. I just let it play out, and I bet you there's more smoke than there is actually fire.
Yeah, I think we talked about it. The more games they were losing, it was probably going to happen. The talk was going to happen, and sure enough, it did.
Well, we didn't wish that Wizards lost into it, but we talked about how that's the kind of game they lose. And I was going to text you, but it was pretty late. I'm like, and of course they lose that, and then like the sky's falling.
Yep. So
Sam's got to have something to write about.
And then we had was it Chris Haynes from Amazon Prime? I played the clip. He said he actually talked to Giannis. This was a couple days ago, and kind of just reiterated his thing that he told him a few years ago. Some people see a door and they want the easy way out. I see a wall and I want to run through it. He's just focused on getting healthy and helping his team out.
Right.
So, you got that. And I get it. If he really wants to end all this talk, he could come out and say it. I do think part of it, though, is he wants to make sure the Bucks are always on their toes to look at always improving. Right.
I think his agent is making sure, too, that like that's out there just in case he can get him the best deal.
Yep.
I mean, you back up the Brinks truck, and that's the deal you make for him.
Yeah.
It's probably happening, but I don't think any team's going to risk their future right now.
No. All right. We only got about 20 seconds, so let's just do the football game tonight. It's a good one, Chargers, Eagles.
Let's go Chargers. I always like watching the Eagles lose. So
this one means more for the Chargers for playoff. Eagles lose, they're still in the third spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Chargers too. Eagles aren't playing the greatest, so I'm going to go Chargers.
It's going to be a fun game.
Yep, I agree. All right, dude, appreciate the time, man. Thanks for stopping by.
No problem.
Have a good rest of your Monday. We'll be back at it, same place, same time tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. We'll talk to you then.